Good morning. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. Madam Clerk, please, I'm calling the Municipal Service and Properties Committee to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll? Here.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just to give everybody a snapshot about how we're going to work today's hearing, we're going to do the legislation first, and then we're going to call up a couple city departments, and we do some miscellaneous so we can question about some of the events that's happened over the last 30 days or so. First, I'd like to start off by calling our guests to the table from the Flats. What number is this, Director?
1541.
Let me start off by introducing all of the members. This is our first MSP meeting of this year. My name is Kevin Bishop. I'm the chairman. I'm Ward 2. I'm Union, Miles, and Slavic Village. We go right to the left.
And Chris Harsh, I'll be the vice chair here, and I represent Ward 4. It's the new Ward 4. It's the same old Brooklyn.
Hi, Councilwoman Gray from Ward 3. I represent Shaker, Buckeye, Woodland, Mount Pleasant, and Salvage Village.
Councilwoman Nikki Hudson, I'm the new Ward 11, a tiny bit of Edgewater, and then Cadell, Stockyards, West Boulevard, Old Brooklyn, and the Brookside neighborhood. Thank you.
Brian Casey, Ward 13.
Councilman Richard Starr, Ward 5, represents in neighborhoods of Midtown, Central, Kinsman, parts of North Broadway, Industrial Valley, and downtown.
All right, okay. Well, can you make an introduction?
Mr. Chairman, so I'll start out on this end. Director DeRosa from the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects.
Suzanne DeGennaro, excuse me, I'm the Commissioner of Real Estate in the Mayor's Office of Capital Projects.
Good morning, Jim Havlin, Executive Director of Flats Ford.
Captain Drew Ferguson, CEO of Argonaut, operator of the Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School.
All right, thank you very much. We're here to hear ordinance number 1541, 2025 by council members Bishop and Griffin. This is a departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to enter into amendment to lease agreement number CT 0103 NF 2015-052 with Flats East Management LLC, the designee for Flats East Development LLC, to authorize charging boat docking reservation fees. All right, Director, you want to kick us off?
Yes, sir. Thank you. This is an ordinance that relates to a lease that the city entered into in September of 2014 related to the Flats East Bank. And I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner DeGennaro, who's going to get into the details of the amendment that we're seeking to this lease.
Thank you, Director. So under the lease, Flats East Development LLC, they actually built the roadways, boardwalks, and park space within the Flats East development, and under the lease are required to keep these areas free and open to the public. So fast forward to last year, Flats applied to the U.S. Coast Guard for a waiver which would allow boat docking in an area on the dock space adjacent to the development that's considered a safety zone, which means docking is not permitted because it's tight in there when the commercial freighter and deep draft vessels come through. So the Coast Guard is going to allow a waiver, and in connection with that, Flats has set up this docking program that would allow for management of this dock space through the program, which is run by students from Argonaut, students and alumni from Davis Aviation High School. It would be managed so that the boaters would make a reservation, they sign a waiver stating that if a commercial vessel comes through, they're given, through a web-based program, they're given an hour's notice. They're to report back to their boat and move it out of the way. And if they're not able to come back, the students would actually temporarily relocate their recreational boat. And Flats has requested an amendment to our lease so that they can charge for this docking space that would help to cover the expenses of the program. And if you have any additional questions about the program, Jim Haviland from Flats Forward or Drew from the Argonaut can answer your questions. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, what's the term of the lease that we originally signed?
It is, I believe it's 99 years, yes.
99 years?
Yes.
Okay. And we are 10 years, about 10 years in a 99-year lease?
Correct. It was signed October 1st, 2015.
And the reason why we have to do this is because they want to charge fees.
That's right.
And now who gets the fees that they charge? Where do those fees go?
I will let Drew and Jim answer that question in greater detail, but my understanding is that the fees go into the to cover the expenses of the docking program.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Chair, to the committee, first of all, Flats Forward, this is the first time I've been here under Flats Forward. I've been here over the years before, so it's a privilege to be here. Flats Forward is a nonprofit that represents all of the stakeholders from the Cleveland Cliffs, Cleveland Works Steel Mill to the Port of Cleveland. And our board is made up of representatives from constituent groups, whether it's tourism, entertainment, maritime and industry, and residents within that service area. Just to give you an idea, a little background of who I am and what we do. So right now, the Flats East Bank, majority of it, you cannot dock there. Never been able to dock there, and it's illegal to do so, and it's unsafe. So what this program does, in partnership with Argonaut, and I'll let Drew talk a little bit more about the CMSD students and what they're learning on this important initiative, is that we are working together to secure a waiver from the Coast Guard to open up the dock to allow boating to occur. This has both a Cuyahoga River safety component, it has an economic development component, and it has a really educational innovation component as well, which Drew will talk about. The Coast Guard will not allow docking there unless it has a managed program. And what Argonaut does is provide a program that is in place that the Coast Guard will accept to allow us then to open up the dock, which is important for boat tourism, as I mentioned before, safety as well. So to your question, Mr. Chair, the proceeds will be collected by Flats Forward and be used as a nonprofit and will be used to do with our partner, okay, to fund the program and all the program needs, including life safety, dock amenities, things like that. And of course, the most important is the students and the management. So that's the way that the program would work.
Now, I got a question just for logistics. Is this Flats East Bank or Flats West Bank, or both?
Mr. Chair, it would be Flats East Bank.
Okay, so Flats West Bank is managed by some totally different? Okay, all right. And you guys are in charge of kind of taking care of the dock and renovating the dock and keeping it in good condition?
Right.
Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to questions from my colleagues. Councilman Chris Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm looking at a map of the river and the East Bank. Can you tell me exactly where this dock is? Where should I look on the map? What am I looking for?
I'll start. Drew, you're the expert as well. You're on the water all the time. But it basically is from the Norfolk Southern Bridge, south all the way down to the lake house. So it's the boardwalk that is in front of the apartments, and then in front of Alley Cat as well, and the lake house. So it is, that is the area, yes.
Approximately 900 linear feet of dockage, of which 600 is restricted.
Okay. Thank you. Through the chair, I see that there is a boat docked outside of the Collision Bend Brewing. And I recall from my taxi cab days that there was a water taxi that would run back and forth right there. So there is some docking on the east bank. Who controls that through the chair?
Mr. Chair, to the council member, right now, Collision Bend Brewing Company is controlled, they own the building with a partnership, so that is real estate that they will control. It's not associated with this particular request for the amendment and the Coast Guard waiver. And so, Mr. Chair, to your point, the West Bank, the area is mostly Jacobs Entertainment, and that would include Shooters and, of course, the Nautica complex as well.
And so through the chair, the private property owners control those docks
That is correct.
along the side of the river?
Yes.
Okay. And so through the chair, the legislation here is only for Flats Forward to control the docking from the Norfolk Southern Bridge south to roughly roughly, I don't know, the lake house, just that stretch. And through the chair, how many boats do you expect will be able to dock there?
We are looking at 30, I think 25 to 30, depending on this, it's not predictable what the size boat would be any given time, but if we open this up, we would be able to provide for that number. Drew, do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, with 900 linear feet, you're looking at, and that's the total length of it, you're looking at probably about 25 to 30 total vessels.
Okay. And through the chair, I'm a little bit ignorant on this subject, but in parking, we have parallel parking and we have head-in parking. I suppose boat docking is always parallel through the chair. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Boats will not be sticking out. They will always be up against the side.
And the one issue that does come up and has come up is, which you won't see in a parking lot, is what they call rafting, where you have a vessel that is to the dock, and then you have their friends rafting out. I believe there are some ordinances that control that, but the main idea right now is by having an active presence and an active management of the docks, we can not only promote a positive experience, but we also have people there to enforce the rules that are in place to maintain both the recreational and commercial needs of the river.
Okay, so through the chair, then will rafting be allowed?
Through the chairman of the councilman, no, rafting is not permitted.
Okay, great. One last set of questions, Mr. Chair. I'm curious what the dock fees will be. How much will they be for Davis Maritime, our school? And I do know the wonderful program that they run there, and I know that some students have gotten incredible jobs graduating from high school from Davis because of their aquatic skills, for lack of a better term. I'm very supportive of that, and I was very disappointed when they cut hours at that school and reduced those students' educational opportunities, but I'm glad to see that we still have the connection to the river. So what will the cost for Davis be? What will the cost for commercial be? And what will the cost for private operators be? Through the chair to whoever knows those.
Let me start with that, Mr. Vice Chair. The dollar amount that we're charging is going to be really subject to the cost of running this program, because without the program, there will be no waiver and there will be no legal docking. So we are still trying to refine that using best practices, not only locally but around the country. So we do need to look at that. But ultimately, Flats Forward being a nonprofit, the number one goal is to cover the expenses for the Argonaut program. So I'm going to turn it over to Drew to give you the information on what has to be provided for the dock management program in order for the Coast Guard to accept the waiver. So Drew, you want to?
And through the chair to the councilman, I'll give a real brief background on this. So Argonaut is partnered with the CMSD in the operation and development of the Davis Aerospace Maritime High School. We are out there every day looking for opportunities for our students to engage in identifying and developing solutions to the problems that we see here in and on the river. Examples of Davis-led projects through Argonaut are the full implementation of the safety ring stations that you see around Voinovich Park, just north of here. Those have been utilized to save 5 or 6 drowning victims. Our students operate the Port of Cleveland vessels, Flotsam and Jetsam. So when you see these 2 little barges out in the lake, out in the river, pushing up and down, those are students from Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School, both active students as well as graduates operating those vessels. And the last one is the marine safety vessel. We do operate a marine safety vessel that operates in the river under the Port of Cleveland, and that is escorting all the large ships safely up and down the river, as well as responding to emergencies. So this is about our students looking for challenges that are in the river, identifying solutions, and then hopefully executing. So when it comes down to the cost, we're looking at wages. I call it the McDonald's sniff test. When we get our students into any type of work program or a job that is in line with what their career aspiration is or what their course of study is, it's got to be at least, McDonald's prevailing wages. We don't have our kids working for free. We don't have them working minimum wage, so this is a little more expensive. When it comes to the management of the school, we utilize our graduates. There's a lot of competition for scholarships. So when we employ one of our graduates who's in college, we will pay them about $25 an hour, which is a significant amount, but it is for their college or our career program. So when it comes down to it, we've looked at pricing based on foot or pricing based on sheer size. And we believe that, last year the media got a little ahead of the program and put out a number that gave us a good sampling of what wasn't acceptable. But we think that depending on whether or not we can get the full utilization of the dock, that we can keep the costs below what you'd see in other major cities, comparable to what's acceptable here. And that should not only cover the cost of our kids, but the management of the dock. That dock is lacking safety equipment right now. It is lacking general day-to-day upkeep, and so we think that a price that comes to much less than $1 a foot per vessel will allow us to operate this program throughout the summer.
Okay, well, so I have a very high opinion of Davis Maritime School and the work that you do, and I thank you for partnering with those students, and I know it's invaluable experience, but I do just want an answer to the question. So through the chair, how much is docking going to cost? I'm not a boat guy. I don't know anything about this world. What is docking going to cost?
Yeah, we're looking, right now, what we're looking at as far as the alternate is probably the direction we're going to go. Right?
So we say less than, what we were looking at, less than 30? So less than 30 feet would be $15 an hour.
$15 an hour.
Which is very comparable to the parking down there. It'd be a cheaper way, I think, to get down to the flats and park on the east bank. And then above 30 feet, we did 30 to 55 would be 25 an hour, which is, again, coming closer to 50 to 75 cents per foot. And then anything over 55 feet, these are large yachts, they're going to pay 50 cents a foot.
$50.
Or was it 50?
Yeah, $50.
Sorry, $50 flat.
Okay. No, I mean, I assume that if you have a boat, you also have $15 for parking your boat. People with boats tend to have excess income. Through the chair to my colleagues, I'm just bringing this up because the legislation doesn't actually put any caps. The legislation just gives them the authority to charge carte blanche, and it's 89 years left on the lease. So essentially, if passed as written, we would be giving them 89 years to charge whatever they decide they want to charge at any point in the future as well. So I'd like to put that out there as something for my colleagues to consider, but thank you. I understand a little bit better now. I yield my time.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harsh. You bring up some great questions. Next, I'm going to go to Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to reiterate what Councilman Harsh was talking about, I understand you gave us the fee number, but how much are you looking to raise in this program, and how much does this program cost to run per year?
Yeah, I'm going to, excuse me, through the chair to Councilman Casey. I'm going to let Drew take a look at the 2026 numbers for the students and for the dock managers. So I'm going to throw out a number that's not accurate for this year. So your estimate.
I want to say last year, it was right around $100,000. That does, there's a lot of infrastructure costs. Obviously, last year, we've trialed this twice. We trialed it 2 years ago just to pilot and get the Coast Guard's approval. And our costs last year and the year before were on track with about $100,000 a year in expenses for the program.
And then, Mr. Chairman, through through our guests, how much do you expect to raise through the docking fees?
Through the chair, Councilman, that is something that we do not know yet. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of marketing, a lot of promotion, and we're hoping that voters will decide to, if they have a convenient, safe, and organized way to dock, will make that trip under the Norfolk Southern Bridge and utilize the boardwalk. It is too early to tell just because there hasn't been legal docking there since it was built.
Well, Mr. Chairman, to our guests, you've at least done your homework and you've done a study about how many boats you're going to need to get docked, how much that's going to raise. We know that it's going to cost $100,000 to run the program. You've at least done your homework to know what you plan on raising, correct?
Correct.
And
Yeah,
what's that number then?
We have a strong feeling that if positioned properly, marketed properly, Councilman, that we will be able to raise at least enough money to cover the program, the students, any safety equipment needs, which is, as Mr. Ferguson mentioned, is $100,000 for the season, which starts really from Memorial Day through Labor Day is when the program would run.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, just like Councilman Harsh, I have concerns leaving the legislation open-ended as well, because you say your most expensive docking fee is going to be $50, but how do we know, because you haven't done the necessary homework to know how many boats you're going to expect or how many you can expect, that you're going to come back without us having a number marked in here that you could turn around and say, okay, we're going to start charging $300 to dock here. So we don't know that, right? And I don't think you know that at this point either. I do have an issue with that, and we should look at an amendment there. And why, Mr. Chairman, to whomever can answer this, why was this area deemed a restricted safety zone? And are we comfortable with releasing a restricted safety zone? Do you have any information from, who gave you permission?
The U.S. Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard. Do you have a letter from the Coast Guard? Do you have information from the Coast Guard saying if this is done a certain way that that wouldn't be a safety zone anymore?
All right, through the chair to the Councilman Casey. The safety zone is established based upon distance from the wall to the navigation area. It is technically active when a ship is coming through. There is not a hazard present when there isn't a 600-foot boat going by. So when a ship is coming in, that area does have to be cleared. There is no way of, short of removing commercial traffic on the river, there isn't a way to alter the dock in order to change the size of that safety zone. What we've proposed is an active management of it. Because there's only 3 or 4 vessels going up and down that river a day, because they might be going up one section of the river versus the other, it's a very dynamic environment. So, you know, we've explored this. This has been vetted with the Coast Guard. The only holdup to last year's issuance of the waiver was just making sure that the city was on board. So we are going through this. And to answer your question, I mean, it's one of those things that we're basing what the income level is on the number of traffic we've seen in the area. A well-managed area could certainly grow, and I agree with you. And I can tell you that as we've worked with the Coast Guard and as we've worked with the Port of Cleveland, we've done 1- and 2-year pilot studies. And so potentially operating this as a 1- or 2-year pilot and then coming back and maybe developing a better finance model would work. But I think that we have to trial these things and then adjust.
All right, and then Mr. Chairman, to director or whomever, CMSD schools are on the chopping block, right? Is this school one of the, where's the school ran out of? Because I don't know about the school, so.
The school is not on the chopping block. We did, through the Building Brighter Futures plan, the district has combined Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School with the School for Digital Arts. Argonaut was formed in 2010 to design a school. It took us 7 years to design it and open it. We exist solely to protect the school. Davis Aerospace Maritime High School and our programmings will not be going anywhere. We are working with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. We are working with multiple other partners to identify ways forward. But I stand here before we tell you there's Davis Aerospace and Maritime High School is not going anywhere.
All right, and then my last question, Mr. Chairman, to our presenters is this going to be 24 hours or the restricted hours on the docking?
So there's two models here. This will not be 24 hours. This will be managed. We can do 5 days a week, but typically the traffic does not require it. Your Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday non-holiday traffic will typically exist inside of the non-waivered area. So it's an area that's clear. Whether or not we charge during those hours is up to how the legislation's written. This is mostly aimed at your Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and holiday traffic. So that's when we need additional space to accommodate more boats at those busier times, putting the infrastructure to allow us to open up those areas when there's more demand.
Okay, so at this point, Mr. Chairman, we don't know the hours of parking or docking?
Mr. Chair, to Councilman Casey, we do have it broken out. We do have limitations on when we're going to have the students working on the docks. It does end. Do we have them through to 2:30 at night on weekends, Drew? As Drew answers that question, but there are times when this program's not in place and the students and the managers go home, docking in the safety zone will revert to being prohibited. Okay, so that's going to be the key, is that you need to have the students.
So we're not going to have students there at 2:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, are we?
No, we are not.
And then that's why we're asking, right?
Correct.
And then my last question to the director, Mr. Chairman, to the director is, does the city have any responsibility if we do this, if there's an accident? If a freighter can't get down or a freighter takes out a docked boat, are we liable at all?
Through the chairman of the councilman, law department has looked at this and we're able to do this without taking on liability. I will say that the Flats East Bank has property insurance. I know that's different than what you're asking, but property insurance is already the responsibility of Flats East Bank, and they have insurance in place to handle crashes and things like that.
Does the Flats East Bank insurance cover in the river?
Yes, in the river. There was recently, last year, there was a freighter that hit the boardwalk, and that's a claim that falls under their insurance, for example.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. Next, I'm going to go to Councilwoman Nikki Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, just to clarify a point that Councilman Casey raised, does the U.S. Coast Guard support this waiver?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, they have expressed support for this, subject to the passage of this legislation, which then would demonstrate that there is a secure funding source, something we did not have before. And that was part of the unique approach, was to have this be funded not through the city, not through other sources that are finite and not reliable, but users. So the Coast Guard is waiting for the passage of this legislation authorization and then the resubmittal of the waiver, and we have a high degree of confidence that they will grant this. They have done this before in 2019 when we had a program in place, but it was not funded and not sustainable, and it ended. So to the credit and understanding of the U.S. Coast Guard Marine Safety Unit Cleveland, they said unless you have the funding that you can prove that we will be able to maintain the proper dock management program, we will support this. And we do have direct conversations with the Coast Guard on a regular basis.
Thank you. Through the chair, to our guests, are there exceptions like no recreational docking under certain high current events or other times when navigational risks are high?
Through the chair to Councilwoman, there are no restrictions right now for the events or high peak times. I mean, part of the goal is to have people be able to come down here and take advantages of the amenities and the entertainment in this premier district. There is then, of course, the fact that you can't dock there when a freighter's coming through. And that's why this program is set up to notify the boaters that they have the responsibility to come and move their boats. Or we also have the opportunity through a waiver that they sign before they dock that they will permit their boat to be moved if, for example, someone comes in and they're not in close proximity to the boat at the time that somebody's coming through. And that's the unique part of this, that Drew and his team are in communication with the freighters and will know when they're coming through.
But if the weather conditions aren't right, then will you be closed?
I'll step in on that one through the chairperson to the councilwoman. Yes, so part of this program, as I mentioned before, we're in a lot of different areas in the infrastructure. So we do have a captain who's serving as an expert on the harbor. Anytime that we are managing the dock, we will have a marine safety vessel out. The captain of that vessel has the authority to shut the program down, shut the dock down as needed for safety. So anytime that we do have students deployed, anytime that we are operating that, there will be a Coast Guard licensed captain overseeing the whole program, overseeing that safety zone, and again, general safety activities. I mean, if we see something, we're always observing what's going on in the docks, whether it's the waivered area, the unwaivered area. We're always watching for reckless activity, for activity that there's a lot of alcohol down there, and keeping an eye on things. So there is constant oversight, and as our insurance policies require, we have multiple layers of management of our students when they're engaged in any of these activities.
Thank you for that. I have one final question. Has there been any comment from Share the River, Cleveland, or any of the shipping companies?
Want me to go ahead and
Go ahead,
answer
I
that?
can answer the
Okay.
shipping company part if you want.
Mr. Chair, to the Councilwoman, we have been talking about this program with the Cuyahoga River Safety Task Force for a couple of years. And in 2019, when this was first proposed, there was support for that as well. And that continues today. So Share the River is fully aware of this, as are all of the stakeholders, including Lake Carriers Association and others that know we're trying to do this. And one of the key elements of the program is to bring that coordinated and organized docking that also leads to safety. That's an important element. And communication was a #1 priority for us. And that includes with other law enforcement agencies like the City of Cleveland, Marine Unit, sheriffs, ODNR, others. They're very familiar with this. And even in a broader piece with what is called the NEORAMS, the Northeast Ohio Regional Maritime Safety, and that includes Homeland Security and other agencies even beyond the ones that are local that have jurisdiction. So this has been, I think, widely embraced in a very positive way. That's why we're trying to advance it, and that's why we're very appreciative of the fact that you're looking at this legislation and that the Commissioner Director and Mr. Julian, thank you as well, has been very helpful. I hope that answers your question.
And just the shipping companies, have the shipping companies expressed any concerns?
So through the chair to the councilwoman, yes, so the Lake Carriers Association is the professional organization that represents the shippers on the Great Lakes. Lake Carriers Association does hold a position on my board, as does the Interlake Maritime Services company out here in Middleburg Heights. They actually requested this, and the reason they requested this is because the dock is not actively managed. Any weekend you go down there, there are many boats that are illegally docked. And so when a ship has to come through, and there's lots of boats there, and there isn't enough enforcement action going on, and there isn't anybody telling people they can't dock there beyond the signs, it has been creating a real hazard. And so when a ship has to alter their course to fit through that narrow area, they are putting their vessels in areas that they're not supposed to be. So it increases the likelihood of property damage as well as incident. So not only have they been supporting this, but they have been actively advocating for a positive solution to the issues that we face on that part of the river.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, if I could, I would like to add that on our board, Cleveland Cliffs, is on our board, as is Great Lakes Towing. So this is big. That's how this became a top priority for Flats Ford as well. They were all supportive of this and have been.
Thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Next, I'm going to go to Councilwoman Deborah Gray.
Okay, thank you, Chair, appreciate it. I have just a couple of questions. I'm not aware of this, this process at all, the Flats East Development LLC. I'm not aware of any of this, so this is all new to me as well. So I want to know, how long has this program existed for CMH, for CSMD students?
Through the Chairman, to the Councilwoman, school was launched in 2017. The first year we launched as our kids were out on the river. This particular program was tested in 2019 as a pilot project. We operated it for, I think, 4 weeks. It was initially supported by a lot of the private businesses down there, but when it came to finally writing the checks, they backed out. As Argonaut, as a nonprofit, as an organization that tries to develop innovative pathways and real-world connections, not only, I don't like to say we're giving our kids opportunities, we're presenting challenges to them and letting them find their own opportunities. We can't take money intended for the school to fund private or city infrastructure programs. What we do is we develop these programs and we try to secure the funding so that it serves the city and while allowing the students to utilize their skills to fix the problem that we've identified. So we did run this for a short time last year with some short-term funding as well. And it's, you know, the programs are very popular. I will tell you that it fills up quickly. You ask a high school kid if they want to hang out in the flats and watch boats all day for $15 an hour. Nobody runs the other way.
Okay, sounds good, I understand that. So what are the ages, Chair, to the team? You know, what are the ages that, you know, that the kids, you know, work with this program?
So it's about 15 to 25. Most of our kids who are the actual, we call them the dock crew. Dock crew are sophomores, juniors, seniors. And then the management crew, so your dock managers or the folks who are overseeing communications with the boat, those are graduates. So those are the students who are post-graduation, building sea time or careers. And the importance of this is sea time is like flight time to a pilot. For our professional mariners, they need to log days at sea. Once you get to 360 days at sea over your 4 years at Davis, your earning potential goes up about $25,000 a year. So we're always looking for ways, innovative ways to get kids days at sea, which they can log from age 16 up. So that's the design behind it.
Oh, very interesting. And another question, is this like a graduate class? And how many kids have turned this into a career or, per se, a business? Chair, to the team.
All right, through the chair to the councilwoman. A lot, and when we say, you know, what is the job, there is no one job. This is about exposure to an industry. So we have students that are working small vessels as captains, so licensed Coast Guard captains, running the flotsam and jetsam boats to the parasailing that you see out there. Mm-hmm. We have students that are getting into marine maintenance for recreational boats, small engine repair. That's the more entrepreneurial side. We have students that are working out on the Great Lakes, not right now, but during the season, they're full-time employees working out on the Great Lakes, running these big freighters. And not to mention, we have students who've gone into the Navy, U.S. Coast Guard. Total number, you know, I think 5 to 10% of the kids end up in exactly the track they chose. I'd say another 15 to 20% end up somewhere in between. And the rest, it's just an experience that helps build them. So, you know, when we have an aerospace and maritime school, it's a themed learning. We're offering experiences for them to help find their way. Every kid doesn't become a pilot in the aviation program. Every kid doesn't become a boat captain in the maritime side, but they're engaging in real meaningful things. And you know, I even have kids that become lawyers, which is terrifying to me. But when they're engaged in developing and being a part of the process of launching a program like this. We'll talk about this legislation. They see a lot of the processes that are behind the scenes. We are offering safety net programs for the Port of Cleveland. We're developing programs that have to go through the city, have to go through the Coast Guard. And so there really is just a million learning experiences in doing an operation like this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. I'm going to go to Councilman Shaw.
All right. Good morning to the directors, through the chair. I appreciate the information. I was going to ask some of the same questions that Councilwoman Gray asked. I wanted to just go back to the question of the students and what hours they'll be out there. Could you just clarify a little bit more on what are the expected hours for the students?
So first off, a full day of sea is 7 hours. So our shifts are built around a minimum of 7 hours per student. I would say our busiest times on that stretch of the dock is about 2 or 3 p.m. until about 10 p.m. And so the way we operated it last year is starting at 10 a.m., your first manager will show up. That manager will have one student with them, and they sweep the docks, they hose things down, they wipe down rails, they check all the safety equipment. Starting at about noon, you'll probably have 2 more students that arrive. And so we'll phase up to a full dock with 30 boats, approximately 15 to 20 of which are in the safety zone that will have to be moved if a freighter comes through. Those docks don't fill up until the afternoon, so at a fully staffed dock, you'll probably say 6 dock crew and 1 or 2 managers. So at the height of the day, from that 3 to 10 p.m. range, you will have a fully staffed dock of 7 to 8 folks who are grabbing lines, moving boats, and then handling the what-if scenarios. They are all trained. They're all CPR, first aid, AED trained. Many of them work on the safety boat as well, so they have that emergency response experience. So they're actually not only out there just catching lines and tying up boats, but they're the first ones to engage people if there's an emergency. They are the voice of direction in emergencies. They're the first ones to throw a life ring in when someone falls in the water. And you know, they're also learning that, you know, they have to recognize when someone's inebriated and going onto a boat, and they're trained in how to deal with boaters who are potentially getting ready to depart the dock intoxicated. So it does take a minimum of 2 to 3 staffing, and again, starting at 9 or 10 in the morning, and then going till about midnight. Our managers will be the last one to leave at night. They'll get the kids clear by midnight, and then probably wrapped up and out of there by 1 a.m. Again, the safety boat makes the call. If we still have 30 boats in that safety zone, we can flex our crew from the boat to the dock to make sure that we're able to sustain it. But our students do leave, or anyone under 18 is leaving by midnight.
Thank you. So just to clarify, the latest that a student could be expected to be out there is midnight? Is that including on the weekends?
That is, it all comes down to what the state regulations are. I mean, during a weekday, during school days, there's different age groups. So kids under 16 have one. Our kids who are 16, 17 have a different Friday, Saturday limitation. So that's what guides how long they're out there. Again, I do have a lot of seniors that are already 18, and we have students that are 50 days short after graduation of achieving that $80,000 a year starting career. So they might stick around for that extra summer to get those 50 days at sea. So, you know, everything we do is on the up and up. These are our career programs. So we do work with Jobs Ohio. We work with a lot of folks that help us. We work with Magnet. We work with YOU. And so all the programming and the times are set based on what's legal.
Thank you. And with all due respect to the state, I don't have much faith that the folks down in Columbus care about our kids. So I appreciate that others are looking out for them. And then they're being paid $15 an hour. Is that correct, through the chair? Is there, and going back to one of the questions that Councilman Harsh asked, there is no cap right now on what can be charged under this current legislation. I wanted to kind of understand to the director for Flats Forward on where the profit's going to be going. Where is this going to be directed? Are we directing any of this money back to the students to make sure that they're getting a fully enriched program? Where do you anticipate the additional money to be going?
Mr. Chair, through Mr. Chair to Councilman Shaw, the money will be flowing from the reservations to Flats Ford. The primary focus is the students and the managers and the life safety equipment and anything else it takes to run the organization. There is marketing, there is accounting that we have to take a look at, but because we're two nonprofits, we're not motivated by anything other than covering our costs primarily, and the students in Argonaut program is the number one a piece. I don't know if that answered your question fully or not.
Go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I caught the full
No,
question.
through the chair, I think I understand. I just wanted to know if there were set, 15% will be going, if there were any buckets or criteria set up like that has already been preset.
I think we're still refining the budget with the number one focus, Mr. Councilman, to take a look at what really the program's going to be this year, and then taking a look as the weather starts to break. What are the elements that we need to make sure that the dock is fully functioning? We have the life safety equipment. We do need to market this as well, so we're kind of putting that together as well. What does that look like as far as allotment of dollars for promotion of this? A lot of education as well. So we need to take and refine that full budget this year.
Thank you. I give my time. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Is there any other question on ordinance number 1541?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
Okay, there's amendment on the floor. Go ahead, Councilman Harsh.
Mr. Chair, I can't say enough good things about Davis Maritime Aviation High School. I've met some of the graduates who are entering $80,000 a year jobs straight out of high school. These are young men from Glenville and from, Clark Fulton and our neighborhoods that we want to see our children succeed, and they are doing it. They are accomplishing it. And I'm very proud of this program. That said, Mr. Chair, 89 years is a very long time. 89 years is going to outlast everybody at this table in this room. And so I think that the spirit of the amendment is to have this come back for review without handcuffing them on how much they can charge or anything like that, but to ask them to come back in a few years so that we can actually look at the budget and how it played out and how much revenue was raised and where it was distributed. I understand if there needs to be some marketing, that makes sense, right? So, Mr. Chair, the spirit of the amendment is to have it come back to us in 5 years is what's floating around to review. And I don't know if we would like to do that by adding a sentence into section 1 or adding a new section 2. Mr. Chair, I would propose, I think the easiest way to do this might be to add a new section, section 2, which reads simply, authorization for this ordinance shall be brought back to council for renewal and review within 5 years of the date of passage. And then we would only have to rename section 2 to the section 3 and section 3 to section 4.
Okay.
So to our legal eagle at the other end.
Yes, I'll wait for it to be seconded and we can discuss. Yep. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold it just a minute. Everything goes through the chair. Councilman Harsh has an amendment on the floor. Can I get a clarification from Law Department? Is that amendment sufficient?
I need to understand what the amendment is doing. As the chair and council members know, this is a contract that's already been executed. And what we're doing here is amending the contract, which is a legal instrument to allow Flat Seas to charge the public for docking their boats. So is the amendment to restrict that permission to 5 years? Because we're not able to go back to the contract without the other party assenting and modify that whole term of 99 years. So just to be clear, is this to limit that permission for 5 years?
Can I clarify?
Through the
Go ahead,
Through
Councilman.
the chair, yes, the intention is to limit it for 5 years so that it comes back for review so that we can reassess the program and how it's working within the next 5 years before determining whether or not to extend for, at that point, it would be 84 additional years, the remainder of the lease.
Okay, so the amendment will be to allow Flats East to charge the public for docking their boats with the leased premises for an initial period of 5 years,
Correct.
after which, with council's assent or permission, it will be for the remainder of the term? No?
Councilman.
It's just that this will go into
Oh,
the
just a minute.
contract, so we'll need to be very specific.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, who are you calling to the?
Councilman Harsh.
Okay. Through the chair to the legal counsel, yes, if we want to add on to the sentence, the first sentence that ends on line 4 of section 1, within the lease premise for a period of 5 years, we could then add a second sentence that says authorization shall be renewed upon renewal by, authorization can be renewed by council after review within said period, within 5 years.
I would propose stating further extensions will be subject to council's approval. That would clean it up.
Mr. Chair,
if
further
that's
extensions
acceptable.
subject to council approval is sufficient to the goal that I'm trying to accomplish.
Thank you, through the chair.
So, did the contract have extensions in it as it is written presently, Director?
Mr. Chairman, the contract does not have extensions, but I do want to reference, it is advantageous for the city to remain under this lease for the term of it. So as you're suggesting, any amendments would relate just to this docking fee provision. That would be the best thing for the city.
All right, so I'm gonna go to Councilman Brian Casey.
Mr. Chairman, and this is directed to our law department, would it be easier if we did not put this under this piece of legislation, which would obviously have issues with the 99-year, and if we had just a separate piece of legislation, not amending the lease, and just giving them permission to do a docking fee? And if that's limited, this way it doesn't affect the 99-year lease.
Mr. Chairman, I think the issue is that the lease currently says free and open to the public.
And I get that,
the
but does the
docks.
lease currently say anything about docking fees? Or docking?
It does not. The implication is that if you charge for docking, that it's no longer free and open to the public.
No, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is that, is there a way to do this without affecting the
Yes.
99-year lease?
Through the chairman and the councilman, I think the way that it's suggested is that the authorization is only for a 5-year period. And that works for the docking fee issue, but it doesn't impact the rest of the lease.
And then that's what I want to make sure, that we're not going to null and void or anything, the 99-year lease, or they don't break the lease, or
Okay, can we go back to the law department?
Through the chair, that's correct, what Director DeRosa said. So all other terms and provisions will be in full force and effect. What we'll do is just put this provision restricted to docking for a period of 5 years. The term of the lease will not be affected, neither will any of the other provisions. So,
Okay,
okay.
go ahead, Councilman Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I would point out to my colleagues that the very last sentence of section 1 says all other terms and conditions of the lease shall remain unchanged and in full force and effect. So the section 1 currently ends with the clarification that the first sentence only relates to dock fees. It doesn't relate to any other terms or conditions of the lease itself. So if we just want to end with lease premise for a period of 5 years in line 4, If that just means that we all here have an understanding that we will need to come back to review this within 5 years because it will expire. Permission will simply expire.
Okay.
I think that gives everybody a chance to operationalize the vision, figure out what's going on, and then we can actually look at the numbers in a couple of years and see how it's going. And everything's smooth and great, then we can just strike the line and return it to the original written ordinance.
Okay, Councilman Harsh has an amendment on the floor. Councilman Harsh, can you repeat the amendment?
Yes. Mr. Chair, I propose an amendment to Section 1, Line 4, following the words premise the amendment, insert for a period of 5 years.
Okay. Is there a second on the floor? Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Starr seconds that amendment. Okay. Is there any discussion?
Just a quick point
Councilman Shaw.
to the chair. I have concerns about the 5-year period. I'm wondering if it would be better to do either 2 or 3 years. To my understanding, the flats, the East Bank has been going through quite a lot of changes, and I can imagine in 5 years we could be looking at something completely different. And having a shorter period of time, I think, would allow us a greater degree of flexibility and control as there's rapid changes happening at the flat in the bank.
Okay. From the way I look at it, the 5 years is sufficient. We don't want to saddle them down with too much restrictions, but I understand your concerns. I'm going to go back to Councilman Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In response to my colleague, I think that the reason 5 years is appropriate is that it gives them a chance to get up and running and get the whole thing through a few annual cycles. The water in Cleveland is very much Labor Day to Memorial Day, or I got that backwards. So get it through a few cycles to figure out how it's working. I think it'll take them a year or two just to get up and running. So I think a 5-year term comes back, they will clearly know that their authorization completely expires, meaning that they will not be able to charge docking fees after 5 years, which gives them a lot of motivation to bring this back successfully to us, but does give them a little bit of time to get everything up and running. I think 5 years is appropriate.
Sir,
All right,
thank you.
Councilman Shaw.
Thank you.
All right, is there any other discussion? All right, the amendment was seconded. All in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. All right. Ordinance number 1541, 2025 is approved as amended. All right. Is there any questions on ordinance number 1541? All right, please sign. Thank you. All right, I'm going to call up next. I'm going to call up the NCA piece of legislation.
What kind of committee you running here?
All right. Ordinance number 1447, 2025 by council members Welsh, Bishop, Slife, and Griffin. This is a departmental request. An emergency ordinance to establish sub-fund 65 SF011 and 10 sub-fund 114 for the deposit and remittance of new community authority parking charges at certain city-owned parking facilities and to transfer any such collected charges less any city adjustments into appropriate new fund. All right, Director, you want to start us off with this? First, I want you to introduce you. We got new members here, so make sure everybody knows who you are.
Great. Thank you, Chair. My name is John Laird, and I am the Director of the Department of Public Works.
Okay.
Jessica Trevisano, Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief Strategy Officer in the Mayor's Office.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
All right, Chair and Committee, this piece is, I put my peepers on here. This piece is to establish the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority and allows the city to assess NCA charges consistent with the NCA petition. This legislation establishes the sub-funds in both the Department of Public Port Control and the Department of Public Works for the deposit and remittance of funds as required for financial accounting purposes. I'm going to hand this over to Jessica to be able to really give you more details on how this will work.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us today. This is frankly a piece of cleanup legislation to establish sub-funds related to legislation that was passed last year. So last year, City Council passed the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority through ordinances 1061-2024 and 564-2025. Those pieces of legislation set the ceiling for fees and authorized the city to enter into an agreement with the new community authority related to parking charges, and it authorized the city to remit those fees to the NCA. Those new community authority fees will contribute to the construction of public space, infrastructure, and operations to enable lakefront development. And a new community authority is a creative financing mechanism separate from any small enterprise fund or the city's general fund. So last year we established the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority, went through all of the sort of steps required to create that authority. What this legislation does is, due to an administrative error, this council authorized the city to create the NCA, to collect charges on behalf of the NCA, but right now finance is not able to move those fees from the city to the NCA because we did not have the sub-funds necessary set up in port control and in public works that we need in order to kind of separate out those fees and send those fees to the NCA, which is the administrative way that we send those fees over. So what this piece of legislation does is it just establishes those sub-funds. It's really just an administrative process for us to meet our contractual obligations with the NCA. While we're talking about the NCA, I figured I'd give you a little bit of an update. Just as a reminder, the agreed upon NCA fees for city parking, consistent with the NCA ordinance, is $1 for weekdays. That's true for every parking lot that's part of this except for Willard, $3 on weekends, and $5 for special events. As a reminder, these are not parking charges. These are NCA charges that apply to folks who use city-owned parking lots. So they are separate from our parking charges. Parking charges still go to our various departments for parking fees. These are new community authority fees that are separate from those charges. These fees are not applicable to our monthly parkers. They also only apply if somebody pays for parking. So if a parking lot is free for some reason for a given period of time, there's no NCA fee assessed. And these special event charges only apply if the rate is $10 or less. So I think that's most applicable to Willard. If we have some sort of event at City Hall where we have folks coming in after hours for some sort of cultural event, we might charge, some nominal rate for parking. As long as it's under $10, we don't have an NCA fee assessed. The city has been collecting these fees since August of 2025, and we have collected a total of just over $200,000 for the North Coast Waterfront NCA, and I have a breakdown here. That's all I have by way of presentation. I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, thank you. All right, so this is just basically a exercise to kind of correct what we did when we passed the NCA legislation was it 2025 or 2024?
Yeah, to the chair, we passed both pieces in 2025, but that's correct. This is an administrative correction.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go to committee, Councilman Chris Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do understand that the existence and authority of the NCA is not up for discussion today. That was already handled, passed by council last year. We're simply looking to establish the sub-funds that allow us to actually transfer the funds. So that just leaves my only question through the chair to the director. Where are the funds currently sitting? And if we know that we've collected them, how do we know that we collected them if they're not?
Yeah, to the councilman through the chair, I can answer. They are sitting respectively with the Division of Parking and the Division of Port Control. So those entities, when they collect parking charges, also collect the NCA fee. And then what's supposed to happen is then we kind of separate out those fees, the NCA fees into one sub fund, and then the parking charges and their regular either small enterprise fund. So right now on the back end we have an accounting mechanism to know which are NCA fees and which are not, but we need to be able to move them into their own little sub fund bucket, and then from that transfer to the NCI.
So essentially, through the chair, they're sitting in a general sub-fund that division uses, but by creating a new sub-fund, we can put the funds there and then empty the bucket.
So yeah, that's correct. So chair, sorry, through the chair to the councilman, just think of it as when you go to the store and you get something, you buy something, you pay the taxes. Well, the store collects that, and then later on they'll cut off and they'll send it to the organization you're supposed to. Same way, we just didn't have a place to send it to. So that's what we're doing today.
Understood. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman House. Councilman Shaw.
Thank you. To the director, through the chair, just had a, so if this money hasn't been used by the NCA yet, I've been wondering, where has the NCBA been getting its money that it's been using so far?
Yeah, to the councilman through the chair, the North Coast Waterfront New Community Authority has not, you're right, been using this money. They are counting on it in the future, and they know that it's kind of set aside for them. The city a couple years ago allocated some funds to the North Coast Waterfront Development Corporation. That's been what's been used for lakefront operations to date. But right now they haven't, their operation, the NCA operations have been pretty minimal because they don't have dollars to put towards those operations yet.
I see. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Shaw. Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to our director, our special assistant, chief? Chief. Oh, yeah, you're chief now. How much has been raised so far? How much is sitting there?
To the councilman, just over $200,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. Is there any other questions on ordinance number 1447, 2025? Seeing no further questions, ordinance number 1447, 2025 is approved. Please sign it. Thank you. All right, Director, you gonna close this out? You closing this out, right?
Yeah, we have
Last
two more pieces. Yep. Yes, sir.
All right. All right, ordinance number 33, 2026 by council members Bishop Griffin. This is a departmental request. An emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of listed carts, street receptacles, and compactors for the Division of Waste Collection and Disposal, Department of Public Works, for a period up to 3 years. All right.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
All right, Director, can you have your, I know who he is, but can you have him introduce himself to the new committee?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Terrell Pruitt. I am the Commissioner of Waste Collection and Disposal. I also have some members of staff here.
Okay, would you like to introduce them also?
Well, can I come to the table?
Yeah, come to the table. Yeah, one more other. You had one more guest too, right? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Leandria Stevenson.
And in your position?
I do procurement.
Procurement, okay. For waste collection? Waste collection. Okay. We have new members here. That's why I'm stressing this, because I want everybody to know what you do and who you are, okay?
Good morning. My name is Tangela Scott. I am the administrative manager for our operations section.
Waste collection?
Waste collection.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Crystal Lazaway Patterson. I am also an administrative manager at Waste Collections.
And you are a resident of Ward 2, correct?
I am, Councilman.
Okay, all right. I just want to clarify that. All right, Director, you want to take this?
Thank you, Chair. This piece, the purposes of this piece, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get used to my technology here. The purpose of this piece for the Division of Waste to replace approximately 10,000 to 12,000 broken or missing carts. The Division of Waste is also replacing age-damaged street receptacles through the city and adding compactors to the city through these facilities. So not just the carts for this piece, we're also looking to be able to buy receptacles that you see throughout the city, as well as compactors, which is something, I won't say it's new, but it's something that we want to do more of. It makes our operations more effective. And with that, I will open it up. Did you want to have any statements?
Mr. Chair, this legislation is not, we're not looking for additional funds. This gives us authority to expend.
Okay, so now how much is this contract going to be worth, Commissioner?
Through the chair, there's actually no contract in place. So we purchase carts and we purchase compactors on a competitive bid. There is a number of co-ops that the city uses that allows us to go out, that has already been competitively bid, that allows us to go out and purchase. Carts, we have to go out for bid. For receptacles, we have to go out for bid each time. This legislation, what it does, it gives us the ability to expend more than $50,000, which allows us to build our surplus so that way we can deliver a service in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay. So this contract is this is for 3 years, correct?
Yes.
And can you explain? And this is 2.3 million for. Is this 2 million per year? How's that?
That's our Mr. Chair. That's how much we expect to expend each year.
Each year? Okay. So how much have we spent over the previous years on carts? Did you have that information?
Yes, Mr. Chair, on the summary, we spent $1.6 million last year.
Okay. Okay. All right, and I'm going to open up questions for the committee. Is there any questions? Councilman Brian Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, how many carts does the city have?
Through the chair to the councilman, do you mean actively being used
Yeah.
or in inventory?
No, actively being used.
We have about 300,000 that's been deployed.
And then how many of those get replaced per year?
About 10 to 12,000.
And we have 300,000 throughout the state, and that's the black and the blue cans, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And then when are the blue cans going to be taken for people who have not opted into recyclable?
So through the chair to the councilman, that is something we're trying to do. We actually brought in a consultant to help us think through how to do this correctly.
Okay.
Because there's one, we could yank the carts, but we know that that's going to be an issue. So we're trying to work through a plan. Our hope is by the time we get to the end of the year, but that's something we need to really work through to do it. Make sure we get the education out, make sure we do all the things right. So
Okay.
our hope is this year, but
And what is the process, Mr. Chairman, to the director or the commissioner, if somebody wants an additional can?
Through the chair, if somebody wants additional cart, they can call 311, put in a service request. We fill those requests. They're not a priority request. We fill them within 30 days. And first thing they need to do is they have to, it's a lease. It's a lease process. They have to pay $75. We only take credit card or money order. Credit card, check, and money order. Once the payment's been received, then we'll make sure the card is delivered within 30 days.
All right, and then Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, the director, why are we charging, if people are forced to have our cans, right, but they need an additional can, we don't know everybody's situation, right? You just need an additional can. You've got an overabundance of people in the house. They're filling their recyclable can. I'll use me as an example, right? Our recycling can fills very quickly, right? I have 8 people living in my house, right? The garbage accumulates quickly. There's other people out there who are in that same situation, who could just use an additional can. Why are we charging people for an additional can if no other way to have your garbage picked up in the city of Cleveland is through our program? Right, so we own a monopoly on trash pickup anyways. And now if a family just needs an additional cart and they're utilizing it and they're putting 2 carts out every week, why are we charging them for them?
Sure. Through the chair to the councilman, there's 2 trains of thought with that. The first train of thought is probably the most simple, is that the carts, there is a cost, as you can see here, that we are paying about $1.8 million a year for carts, and trying to help supplement with that. If you have the 1 cart, it's free, but the additional cart, for us to be able to just stay on top of these carts, we have to have some kind of way to have a mechanism to be able to pay for it. Number 2, if the idea or the thought is where we want to try to steer people more towards recycling, and so if we elicit or allow you to have more carts, it almost kind of defeats the purpose of recycling. But we understand that people need to have more carts, so it's kind of this compromise and balance. So that's kind of the 2 trains of thought, but why we have to charge for that.
Okay, and then Mr. Chairman, to the director, the commissioner, since there is a fee that you're spending $1.6 million last year, how much was raised through the trash collection fee?
Through the chair, approximately $13 million.
Okay, so if we're spending $1.6 million, or we'll even give you the $2 million estimated a year on carts, but on that fee, and I realize there's more to the fee, more things get paid for, but that's not the way the regular resident looks at it, right? They look at it like, that fee is to have my garbage picked up. You're there anyways. What's the difference if you're picking up 1 cart or 2 carts, and you're making $13 million a year? Now, and I get the finances of it all, but I'm, your average regular resident, you're making $13 million a year, you're spending $2 million, and you want to charge me $75 for an additional cart. That's the thinking of, your average Joe resident. So can you address that?
Through the chair to the councilman, the budget for waste collection annually is about $40 million. So the $13 million that's collected through the waste collection fee doesn't cover the cost of the operation. Additionally, if you go back to when we had a pure manual system, when everyone purchased their own garbage cans, the Oscar the Grouch garbage cans that we call them, they're about 20 gallons.
What do you call them?
We call them just the regular Oscar the Grouch garbage cans.
What is it?
Oscar the Grouch.
Remember
Oscar the Grouch.
To the chair to the councilman.
Oh, I thought he was saying something to the ground. Okay, Oscar the Grouch. Okay.
So if you remember, if you can visualize those garbage cans, they're about 20 gallons. And most people put out about 4 of those carts back in the day when we had a manual system. Currently, we issue you about 155 gallons worth of collection. 96 gallons for the black cart and 64 gallons for the blue, so you have more capacity that the city issued you. Any more capacity that a person needs, we'll give you we'll give you the capacity, but it costs $75 because each cart costs about $70.
And Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, is that $75? Was that a legislative thing, or is that just the policy of Public Works?
Through the chair, it was passed in the ordinance 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. Director, in Section 3, it says the proper appropriate accounts and the Director of Finance shall certify the amount of any purchase under the contract. So what accounts are we using for this purchase, Director?
So through the chair to the councilman, I believe we use capital funding as well as general fund.
It's capital?
Funding. Yeah, capital funding. And we don't know what those capital funds will be. So that's why we typically have that line in there. So when the actual capital funds do come, then we actually are able to create them, then we can use that legislation for it.
Okay, so this is in the capital plan. This money is in the capital plan.
Through the chair to the council, to the chair, yes, but it doesn't, the capital funding won't cover all of it. It won't cover the receptacles, it won't cover the compactors. So that's why we'll have to use a mix of both general fund and capital funding.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go to Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. I just have a question. I already posed it to Commissioner Pruitt, which he does an excellent job. I just say your team does an excellent job, so I don't have a lot of complaints. I just have a additional question for Commissioner Pruitt. Would he help out greatly with this? With the, due to the fact that you want to require more, residential carts, I have called on a previous occasions of when homes, when landlords abandon their homes and they have all the additional carts left in their, on their property. I have called you and you have certainly come to pick those up. Chair to the Commissioner, when you pick those carts that's left at those abandoned homes, are in use to be used and/or, do you have to service them or get rid of them or recycle them per se?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, orphan carts, as we call them, when we recover those carts, depending on the nature, most of those carts are damaged. And if they don't have very much damage, we will reuse them. But the general intent is that those carts are then sent to be recycled, or so the value of the cart is in the resin. We'll collect a number of those carts, and we'll actually have one of the manufacturers, they'll come and collect those carts from us.
Okay. And then the second question, you said you also want to require more street receptacles. Those are those metal trash containers that you have on the corner of the neighborhood. Those are the ones, Chair, to the Commissioner?
I'm sorry, Mrs.
The street receptacles, are those the metal ones that you put on the sidewalk, on the street or the corners?
Through the chair, to the council lady, yes, our plan is to replace all concrete receptacles with black metal decorative receptacles. And this allows us to purchase a stockpile so we can start that process once the weather breaks.
Okay, thank you for that. And a second half question to that. Now, many of the residents in the neighborhood are requesting those type of street receptacles on the corner now. A lot of the corners don't have them now. I don't know the cost, but in addition of you ordering them, will those be put, in the neighborhood more now than ever?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, yes. So if a resident wants they have an idea where they like to have a new receptacle in their community, they need to get in contact with 311, put in their service request. We evaluate each service request. It's a criteria that we try to evaluate to see if does it make sense to put a receptacle there. Then once we look at that, we try to do the whole neighborhood. So we be a little bit more systematic in our approach. We only install receptacles between April Fool's Day and Halloween. And then what we try to do is be systematic and do the whole community at one time.
Okay.
So if you have a resident that is interested in either a replacement of a concrete receptacle, or they got an idea this might be a good place for a new one, put in a service request, and we evaluate those service requests at that time.
Okay. And also one last question, Chair, to that. Is there any information that you can gather up and have advertised or market to the residents? Because this is a constant question that I get all the time, because residents do not understand how you measure that. And they want a street receptacle on every corner. And I know that's impossible. But however, due to your booklet that you have mailed out to the residents, is that information in the booklet for them to read, and or could you manufacture a flyer or put it out on the city website or give it to us so I can put it on my website? Because this is a constant question. As you know, that I probably email you or Mr. Richards, and it's And sometimes our residents do not understand the process because they definitely want what they want. But due to the ordinance and the regulations of the waste department, sometimes a black and white document serves the purpose for them to understand something visually. So could you kind of create that, or come to my community meeting sometime this summer and get the information out, because due to so much trash we have, walking trash we have in the neighborhood, everybody wants that street reciprocal on a corner constantly all the time. And I know that's not effective, but I just need some assistance from your department to show forthwith that this is going to happen, but how it's going to happen. Chair to the commissioner.
Yes, through the chair to the councilwoman, we will do that. We never considered putting that type of information out.
Okay.
There's not a big bar for us to get to yes. We generally try to get to yes.
Okay.
There are some occasions where it doesn't make sense for us to put a receptacle, but we will take your consideration.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Councilman Gray. Councilman Shaw.
Thank you through the chair to the directors. I really appreciate your work. Last year, I requested a new cart and I got it very quickly after, so I do appreciate it. I was wondering, I wanted to dig in on that timeline. On average right now, how long is it taking for residents to get new carts?
Through the chair, we have 5 business days.
And then,
That's our SLA. Through the chair, that's our SLA. We have a service level agreement that we had to get it within 5. So that's what we aim to do.
and to the director through the chair, I was wondering about the street receptacles that Councilwoman just mentioned. Approximately how many of those do we have that are not assigned to like a residential address?
Through the chair, we don't have a rock solid number. We think it's between 700 and 800 throughout the city of Cleveland. That's including the downtown service area. Part of this process is that we'll actually, they never been identified. As we go through the process now is installing them, we're also adding them to the GIS platform so that we will always have a number.
I see, thank you. And through the chair, so if we're not tracking them, I'm presuming we don't have a different plan for those pickups than residential, or are they just picked up at the same time, or what's the timeline for that look like?
Through the chair, they have never been tracked. We are tracking them now as we install. The new black ones are being tracked. And we service receptacles 2 times per week during the winter months and 3 times per week during the spring and summer into the fall. We service them on if whatever neighborhood they're in, that collection day they're serviced a second time throughout the week, and then on Saturdays they're all serviced 1 time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Shaw. Is there any other questions on ordinance number 33, 2026?
I want to bring something to the commissioner's attention. One more question.
All right, go ahead, Council.
Due to the residents. Now, when you spoke about the additional fee for the second canister, for the second cart for a resident to purchase. Now, I think you noticed, or Mr. Richards was called in on this or emailed, some of the residents said that they bought the old garbage container. And when they put it out there with their other containers, that container was actually picked up and tossed in the dumpster, and said that they was not allowed to use those containers anymore, to put their trash in. They can put a black bag next to the other containers, but not that old silver steel container. And it was actually tossed into the dumpster. So it was a waste of money for them, and they do not understand why they can't use that silver container to put additional trash on the tree line and keep it for their use instead of it being tossed into the dumpster. So, Chair, to the Commissioner, since we have the audience on TV 20, could you explain to them why they cannot use their container, their steel container, and put it on the tree line and keep it, otherwise being actually tossed in the dumpster?
Okay, so Councilwoman, I'm gonna have him answer that question during miscellaneous. Okay, so can we finish this piece of legislation up and then we'll go back to miscellaneous?
thank you.
We'll take your question first. So put a pin in that. There, so Councilman Harsh has who wants to offer an amendment to this piece.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank the Councilwoman for bringing that up. I also have a miscellaneous item I'd like to get to after the legislation. But through the Chair, I'd like to offer 3 amendments. The first one being at the end of Section 2, insert the following sentence: the Director of Public Works shall provide written notice to the Clerk of Council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchases. The second amendment would be in Section 3, line 1. After contract or contracts, insert in the estimated amount of $2,300,000. And the third be in Section 3, line 2, strike proper appropriation accounts and insert general fund, comma, 2026 through 2028 bonds, comma, if issued for this purpose, comma, and fund number 11 SF006.
All right. Councilman Harsh has an amendment on the floor. Is there a second? Second. All right, Councilman Casey seconds it. Okay, is there any discussion?
Yes, could you?
Councilwoman Gray.
Yes, Councilman Harsh, could you kind of elaborate a little bit more on why you want that amended? Because I didn't quite clearly understand.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, to the council lady. The first amendment is designed to keep the council notified when purchases are made so that we can keep an eye on the expenditures. The second amendment is designed, the intent is to put an expectation of dollars spent while giving them a small buffer, about a 15% buffer in the estimated cost. And the third amendment is to more specifically clarify the funds from which the money will be spent.
Okay. All right.
All right. Is there any, Director, go ahead.
If I just ask one quick question, will that threshold be per year?
I'm sorry.
Will the 2 million, I think 3, will that be per year?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be per year.
Section 3, that the cost of the contract or contracts, the estimated amount of $2,300,000.
But per year, not for the.
Shall be charged against the proper appropriation accounts, and the Director of Finance shall certify the amount of any purchase under the contract. It does not specify per year. It just simply.
So
puts
that
an
is per
estimated
year.
amount.
Yeah, that is per year. In the executive summary, it's 2 million per year, right? So we're giving you a 15% buffer, so it's 2.3 million per year.
Okay.
So please reflect that per year, okay? All right. So is there any other discussion on the amendment? All right. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. So ordinance number 2026 is approved as amended. All right, please sign.
Thank you.
All right, Director, so we're gonna open this up for miscellaneous, just a minute. We're gonna open this up for miscellaneous. First I'm gonna go ahead.
There's one more piece.
Yeah, we're gonna go to that. We're just gonna, while the waste department is here, because this piece is for another department. We're going to go back to Councilman Gray, and then we're going to come back to Brian Casey. Councilman Gray?
Thank you, Chair. That question was to Commissioner Pruitt.
Through the chair, Councilwoman, so residents are only allowed to place out the black and blue cart. Bags of yard waste is the only thing that's allowed to be placed outside of the cart. Bulk items, 3 or more, generally furniture, appliances, and things of that nature. When you put out an unauthorized cart, it does cause issues. We do service those carts because we always want to clear the curb. We do not destroy those carts. So if you have incidents where somebody has destroyed the carts, let us know, because the collectors are not allowed to destroy those carts at all. But they are not permitted to be placed out. So each resident is issued 2 carts, one for recycling, one for trash, and the only thing they're allowed to place out are those 2 carts, yard waste that's bagged or bundled, and bulk items, either upon request or when it's bulk week.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Councilman Brian Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director and the commissioner, one of the biggest complaints that we have an increase in is bulk. And I think we've had bulk issues now for a while, right? And one of the results of only having bulk pickup once a month is illegal dumping that's been going on. Even if it's just people going down the street dropping a mattress somewhere, we're still dealing those issues. Or boats, yeah. I know. Are you open to revisiting bulk at least twice a month, or more often? I mean, it's just the increase is just becoming almost overbearing.
Through the chair to the councilman, yeah, we are absolutely open to that, to be able to have discussions about how we could manage that. I do say we do have to balance the capacity that we currently have and the staffing, but I'll let the commissioner speak a little bit more about that.
Through the chair to the councilman, actually, residents can request a bulk pickup 3 more times throughout the month. So if they call 311, so technically, if a resident has more bulk items they need to dispose of than they do on their regular bulk week, they're allowed to put in requests. So we often have bulk pickup throughout the month anyway by request.
All right, so you're saying we have bulk pickup, but then a resident can request 3 additional bulk pickups a month. So how far in advance does that request have to be made?
Before their collection day, so theoretically, say if their collection day is Tuesday, if they had put their request in today, then their bulk will be picked up tomorrow. If their collection day is today, they would have to put their request in Friday.
Okay, so, and how is, Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, can you tell us how that request is made?
Through the chair, they have to request it through 311.
Okay, so anybody at any point then, unless there's 5 weeks in a month, could potentially get 4 bulk pickups a month if they call 311.
Yes,
correct?
through the chair, we're picking up bulk throughout the entire month by request.
Okay.
So it is something that we have already taken into consideration, and there's a process in place for them to do that.
Okay, so just to reiterate, and it's for the viewing public, right? Any week, or no, you get your regular bulk week, which is the first week of the month. Any resident that would need additional bulk, all they have to do is contact 311 at least the day before your regular collection day. If your collection day is Monday, you got to do it on Friday. By Friday, correct. And then that bulk will be picked up without an additional charge to the resident.
Through the chair, as long as they follow the bulk guidelines set out.
Right. I understand that. Because this isn't for like a set out for a landlord or nothing like that, right? This is just whatever you would be able to put out on your regular bulk. For example, Mr. Chairman of the Commissioner, I get a new mattress set, right? As long as, and it's not my bulk week, but as long as I call 311, set my bulk items out appropriately, then the city will pick up.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Can that request also be done through a council office if the council office uses 311?
Through the chair, it has to be in 311s. The reason it goes into 311 is that goes directly to our foreman.
I understand that, but as long as it gets into 311, it doesn't necessarily have to come from the resident, as long as somebody inputs it into 311.
Through the chair, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Casey. I'm gonna go to Councilman Chris Harsh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad we're talking about bulk. I've had a number of residents ticketed for bulk set out in the last couple of months. One lady was actually ticketed for a bag, not a broken bag, just a bag of not yard waste, just bag of stuff, and was ticketed for it, and it wasn't picked up. And I'm curious. I think an extra bag was something that everybody expected would be an eligible set out for bulk week. Through the chair, why isn't a bag of trash acceptable for a bulk week pickup?
So through the chair to the council right now, currently per the legislation, it is structured so that it's no items outside the cart except for yard debris or something like that.
But through the chair, why isn't that one of the 3 items?
Well, that you mean for bulk or?
Yeah, for a bulk week.
Oh, for bulk, that's
Not permitted.
yeah.
No, through the chair, no, the bags are not permitted for bulk. It's furniture, appliances, mattresses, bulky items. Garbage, additional bags of trash are not permitted for collection.
So if somebody, through the chair, if somebody cleans out their basement and gets rid of a bunch of stuff, what are they supposed to put it in order to include it in a bulk pickup?
Through the chair, if they have additional items that don't fit into the cart, and let's for your scenario, they clean out their basement, they're still permitted to take those items to the Ridge Road Tram Station for free, but they can't place those out for collection.
Through the chair, I find that kind of shocking. I mean, we're talking about just general disposal of just household items that the lady didn't need, and there was nothing, the bag was not punctured. I saw a picture, it was a beautiful, perfect little glad bag, and it would have been nothing to throw it in the truck, but she got a ticket, and it ruined her week and her month.
So through the chair to the councilman, that is actually the commissioner and I have been working on, and actually we sat down with the chair to kind of think about ways that we could some recommendations we have on the legislation or the ordinance for this. So I will say that those are things that we can take under advisement as we're thinking about ways that we can improve this legislation.
And through the chair, are the workers instructed to use any discretion? If they see something like, oh, this is clearly just a bag of something, there's a truck right there, I'm right here, I might as well go ahead and take care of this since I'm here anyway? Or are they ordered to absolutely every single time a bag is a ticket?
I know the commissioner's going to answer. I'm going to let him as well, but I won't say it's ordered. But I think what our goal is to have consistency. So what we want to try to do is to be able to give our staff working rules so that it's not treated one way in one part of town and treated another way. So we try our best to keep consistency. The simpler you make it, the better it is. And that's why we really try to focus on, this is what the ordinance says, this is what we can understand, this is what we can mandate, and this is what we can actually effectively operate throughout the entire city. Again, is it perfect? No, nothing's perfect. But again, that's why the commissioner and I sat down to try to figure out ways that we can make this legislation a little bit, more palatable. So we're working through those things. But again, to be able to really do the program citywide when you're dealing with all kinds of different landscapes, geologically, geographically, we try to make it as simple as possible. So it does seem draconian, right, to say no bags, but when you give a lot of folks leeway, you start getting unpredictable results. So we really try to keep it as ordered and as possible. And again, is it perfect? No. Our goal is not to make these folks machines, but at the same time, we do have to keep a standardization across the city.
And Mr. Chair, thank you for the answer. I would like to sort of revisit this at a time when we have, maybe when this topic comes up for full discussion. I don't know, I'm new to this committee, so I'm not sure if that is like a scheduled, is that an operations hearing later in the fall when we get around to how the business is actually done? Maybe we open up the hood and look at it then. But I do have one other question while we're here. The number one complaint I get, Mr. Chair, from my neighbors is people who don't return their trash cans to the back of their house and instead leave them on the curb all week long. And that is the one, and I agree with them entirely. It is absolutely free for you to pull your trash can back to your house. It doesn't cost you anything. It's dirty, gross, and disgusting, and it turns the neighborhood into a dump. The reason we pick up trash is so that we don't have it in the neighborhood, and it drives me crazy when people don't take their trash cans back. And I've asked always that we ticket those folks, because those are the folks that need to be reminded that there's a reason that we live in a civil society. And instead, people get ticketed for bulk week. It seems like the tickets seem to be when the crews are out there, not in the in-between days. I think trash pickup in my neighborhood is almost Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, covers the whole neighborhood. Monday would be a great day to drive around. Monday would be a great day to go down the streets to see who's not returning their trash cans and ticket those individuals. But it seems like the only people that get tickets are people that have bulk items on when the crews are there. Through the chair, what is the process for I don't know if it's supervisor crews to go out on opposite pickup days? So if I'm picked up on Thursday, to go out on a Monday and see who's not returning their cans.
Through the chair to the councilman, they write all type of the individuals who write citations are the foremen who manage the crews. There are 9 foremen who are deployed throughout the city of Cleveland, and they have a responsibility not only to supervise their collection crews, but also to write citations. The primary concentration is on the day's work, because that's where the majority, that's where their attention must be. They do write tickets for failure to remove carts. A lot of those complaints come in through 311. Multiple residents throughout the city of Cleveland call. They go out and they respond. When they have opportunity, they will go back a couple of days in the past to write citations for folks who did not put carts back. On Saturdays, we do work on Saturdays between April and October. On those days, they generally focus most of their attention for writing citations on failure to move carts, and also for folks who put trash out early on Saturdays. But when they're on their collection day, those supervisors, they have to stay focused in on that collection day's work in order to make sure that everything's collected properly.
Well, that's kind of what I suspected. The supervisors have to be following the crews on the day that the crews are out picking up trash to make sure the trash collection itself is going smoothly and appropriately, and therefore they're not as available on off days, although they do try to get to it. I would just say that through the chair, that I think the better source of revenue collection for the waste department is on people that don't take their trash cans back than on people who set the wrong bulk item out. That's just, I think, something I think a lot of neighbors would agree with. So
Understood. Understood. Noted.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harsh. You made a great point. We're going to go back to Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you. Just one more concern came to my mind. I have a resident that we know the carts have to be taken back to the next day by 12 noon, correct? So the resident got a citation. She called me, and she also responded to the citation, and she got the ticket. She got the ticket at 11:47 that the cart was still on the tree line the day after her trash was picked up. She had the 12 noon. She said the ticket was written at 11:47 the next day. So she called and said that, why would you write me a ticket and you picked it up and you cited me at 11:47 and it wasn't 12 noon? So when she called me, I sent Mr. Richards is fantastic. So we called the address and the homeowner, and I think his response was that I really can't. Don't quote me, but I think he said that they traveled back after the fact and the trash container was still there. However, the homeowner said, but the ticket was cited at 11:47, not after 12 noon, because because she can't get 2 tickets. So, but the ticket is $100. She said that she feels that she doesn't have to pay it. So this has been ongoing. As I have been into hearings with Commissioner and Mr. Richards, prior to they have to go through a second hearing, blah, blah, blah. So, so it hasn't gotten that far as of yet. So she called me again and said that they refused to not cancel the ticket out because the ticket was written at 11:47, and regardless, because she works, if the ticket was written at 11:47, and if you travel back after 12, you know, and the second ticket wasn't written, why does she have to pay the $100 because the ticket was cited at 11:47? So this is an ongoing matter. So she brought it back to my attention. I went over to her house. So now it's going back and forth. So now who should address this?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, it sounds, based on your scenario, the ticket was written in error. The resident should contest the ticket and then just present that evidence, and then everything will be taken care of.
So she still should come to the hearing. She should
Yes.
have a hearing to contest it.
Yes, through the chair,
Okay.
yes, she should.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Is there any other questions for the Waste Department? One question, Commissioner, before I let you go. When we had Martin Luther King Day, the week we had Martin Luther King Day, and it was below 0 degree temperatures all throughout that week, and the Waste Department canceled pickup that one day, during that week?
Yeah, if I could, that was my call.
Okay.
That was wrong week. When it was the 2-day cancellation.
Right, right.
Mr. Chair, are you referring to before Martin Luther King Day?
It was the week of. It was the week of. So the residents were very confused because number one, Martin Luther King Day fell on that week, so everything was delayed, and then all of a sudden we canceled on that one.
Well, yeah, no, actually, the week before, what happened was the week before that was,
Yeah.
I think that would be the week of the 12th or something like that.
Okay.
The storm hit, and so we canceled collection for Thursday and Friday, which I believe was the 14th and the 15th.
15th and the
And
16th.
then you come around Martin Luther King Day, it was Monday, so it was kind of like this perfect storm where we got
Right.
a lot of, but that was my call to cancel for those 2 days.
Okay.
Only because of the way the storm went. We were using the waste collection folks to help us plow. So it just made sense. I thought it just made sense for us to keep plowing until we got it done. So that was totally my call.
So the question is that the proper to inform everybody, because a lot of us got caught off guard. We know everything was in chaos because of the storm, and it was below temperatures. The way we inform the entire city so the residents understand that it's been delayed. So we do have a system in place where we make that notification.
We notify the Mayor's Office of Communication, and they do the job of making the communication to the public. I think that week I also believe I may have sent an email out, but if I did not, I'll make sure that happens to the council to make sure that you know that this is our plans.
Okay. All right, Commissioner.
Through the chair, Mr. Chair, we also have a consultant that we have on place. There's other ways that you can to be more proactive in informing residents. We know throughout the city of Cleveland, some parts that we do have a transient population. We never really had a way to directly contact individuals about days of service. That's something that we know we would like to try to find. And so there's a consultant that we actually have on board, and one of their tasks is to try to help us communicate better.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, I thank you, the Waste Department, for all your efforts, and you've been doing a great job, and thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next, last but not least, we got ordinance number 455, 2025. This is by council members Bishop, Polensek, and Griffin. This is a departmental request, an emergency ordinance authorizing the purchase by one or more contracts of labor and materials necessary to retrofit a Division of Police Command bus, including installation for the Division of Motor Vehicle Maintenance, Department of Public Works, and/or Department of Public Safety. All right, Director.
Thank you, Chair. We have this piece here. It will allow the department to provide this legislation to enter into a standard contract for the retrofit of the command bus utilized by the Division of Police. This ordinance authorizes the Director of Public Works and the Director of Public Safety to execute all necessary agreements and documents to complete the work at an estimated cost of about $320,000. I have Commissioner Brown here to speak a little bit more about this, the command bus.
Morning. Through the chair, the current command bus is approximately 13 years old, and all the technology, the IT package on it is outdated. So this legislation would allow us to update the IT package on this command bus.
With that, we'll open up for questions.
All right. So is there any questions on ordinance 1455, 2025?
Yeah.
All right, Councilwoman Gray.
Yes, could you go into more details about the command bus? That was your question too. I don't know about a command bus.
Through the
Could
chair
you
to the
chair
councilwoman.
the director or who?
Commissioner
Could you
motor
more
vehicle
go
maintenance.
into about the command bus?
So the police department has a command bus which is utilized as a mobile communications unit during special events or during high volume, high traffic, communication traffic. They will utilize this bus to defer some of that traffic. So the communication bus is mobile during a special event like the feast or any major league or major sporting events. The command bus will be dispatched to that area and handle all the radio traffic that's going on at that event to keep that radio traffic from going through the main dispatch center. So it's basically a replica of the communications, the police department's 911 communications unit. And if anything happens involving communications, this bus could basically duplicate that communication.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. Are there any other questions on ordinance 1455? Councilman Harsh.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose two amendments. The first amendment is at the end of section 2. Insert the following sentence. The directors of public works and/or public safety shall provide written notice to the clerk of council whenever any purchase is made through the cooperative process, comma, which notice shall include the details of such cooperative purchases. And the second amendment, Mr. Chair, is that in section 3, after authorized, insert, quote, in the estimated amount of $320,000, end quote.
All right, is there any, so Councilman Harsh has an amendment on the floor. Is there a second? Councilman Casey seconds it. Is there any discussion? All right, Director. All right, you have any questions on the amendment?
No, we're fine.
All right, all in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. So ordinance number 1455, 2025, as amended, is approved. Please sign it. All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right, can we bring up streets now? All right, Commissioner, I want to thank you for your patience. All right, Director, Commissioner, the committee wants to ask a couple questions about the SALT and the storm preparedness and how everything went on the storm, lessons learned, anything we need to know about the storm. All right, Director, you want to start off?
Just very quickly, probably the main thing with the storm itself was probably the most accumulation we've had at one time in a while. But I will say that we had folks working 24/7, and we actually deployed waste collection trucks. As you know, we put the plows on the waste collection trucks. We had folks from traffic engineering. We had folks from where else did we use?
Waste collection, traffic engineering, Director.
Yep. Well, we use probably about 100 or so trucks out on the street 24/7 throughout that event. The one thing that I will say about when we talk about salt is, and I know there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of talk about what happened with salt, but I will tell you this, after the Thanksgiving event, a snow event that we had, I got contacted by two municipalities that they ran out of salt. And they wanted to know, hey, we don't have salt. Can you get salt to us? We did help one at first because we thought, well, they just, I don't know, maybe they don't have a contract. But as we got further into the next event, we began to see, actually after the Thanksgiving event, we began to see that our deliveries of salt were actually a lot less than what they were. Typically, we'd probably get about 1,000 or so tons of salt, probably somewhere in that neighborhood per day when we make our orders. They went down into maybe 100 or 200. We did reach out to Cargill. We reached out to ODOT as well. ODOT holds this salt contract. It's not a contract that the city of Cleveland holds. It's a contract that is a cooperative contract held by the Ohio Department of Transportation. We reached out to them to understand what was happening. We reached out to Cargill to understand what was happening. We were never told by Cargill that there was a shortage, but during that same time, I talked about 5 other municipalities, Brook Park, Cleveland Heights, Euclid. They also, I think Cleveland Heights ran out of salt, and you may have seen that, Shaker as well. They were all out of salt or either at very, very low levels. When we reached out to Cargill, they promised us that they would deliver. They have been delivering. It's just not the amount of salt that we're typically used to. We started the season off with all of our domes full. We were at 100% capacity, and we started that process in August. By the time, and typically what we do after an event, we order salt, and we fill up our domes. That is what we've done for numerous years. That's not something that is new. There was no indication that there's a shortage. There's no indication of anything happening from Cargill. Our thought was that we will order salt as needed. Over the last few weeks, we talked with the government affairs group at Cargill, and they promised us that they would deliver salt. Again, they are delivering salt, but it is not at the levels that we have placed our orders in. I think that is the big picture. So our response to that was to salt, make sure that we're salting the main roads, make sure that we salt the hills, the dangerous intersections, areas like schools and hospitals. And we spot salt as necessary. For instance, we've gotten calls about leaks where there's ice. We have to salt in those areas. When there are calls about certain places I've gotten several calls from some of you here at the table, but about, hey, we need some salt here. We use that very sparingly, but today our salt is at about 7,000 tons. To put that in perspective, and I'll let the commissioner talk a little bit more about the details of it, but to put that in perspective, if we salt the entire city, we use anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 tons of salt. So if we were to use all of our salt to salt the entire city, and we continue to get the deliveries at the rate we're getting, we don't believe we'd have enough salt for our next event. We believe that it was the best decision to limit the amount of salt that we use throughout the city. So today we are still, again, we get deliveries from Cargill, but it is not at the level we've asked for. The law department is looking at options of what we can do with this in this scenario. But now, as we sit right here today, our goal is to keep the city safe. We have plowed, I think, about 4 times in the residentials.
At least 3 times.
3 times in the residential, so our goal is to keep plowing, and if we get calls, we go back. And if we have we've done that, Randy has been up I don't know if he's slept at all since this has happened, but he's been taking calls and fielding emails and getting the crews out there. When we get calls, we respond. It's not been perfect, but we have been responsive. We will continue to be responsive until we believe we're out of the woods. But I don't believe by any shape or form that we are out of the woods with the salt. We're still trying to find creative ways to be able to address. We're using more brine, more additives to the salt into the brine to be able to be more effective. But that is where we sit today. I'm going to turn it over to the commissioner and let him do I'll speak a little bit about what's going on and how he's handling the.
Thank you, Director. Mr. Chairman, to the council. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Randall Scott. I am the Streets Commissioner for the City of Cleveland Department of Public Works. I didn't ask for the benefit of the new council. Most of the other members know me. I just want to say that I've, talked to each one of you either through email or in person over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully we've been responsive to your needs. As the director said, I cannot speak for Cargill salt in terms of a salt shortage. I believe there's plenty of salt in the mine. The problem is delivery. We have not been getting our deliveries the way we're accustomed to. And that's very clear, and it's not only a Cleveland problem, but it's a regional issue. So we put our orders in. We've increased our budget for salt to $4 million. We ordered 70,000 tons of salt through the state cooperative bidding process. To date, we've only received a portion of that, somewhere around 50,000 tons. So out of 70,000 tons, we received 50. We're still awaiting another 17, 18,000 tons to be delivered. That plus what we have in our inventory, which is now 7,000 tons, that would fill us completely up again, and we would be able to provide normal service. Until we get to that point, we are going to have to adopt a strategy, a sensible salting strategy, that says do the main streets first, exclusively. Plow the residential streets. Spot salt them where you need it, particularly in hills, dangerous intersections. That's what we're doing. And that's called sensible salting when you're in a situation like we are today.
Okay, Director, to the Commissioner, I got a question right off the bat, is that are we permitted to send our trucks to the locations to transport salt back if there's a problem with them transporting salt to us? If we put in an order, could we send some of our trucks to get salt? Is that doable, Commissioner?
I have not had that conversation. We have not done that in the past. I don't know even if the contract will allow for that. But yet and still, once you get down there, the capacity and the amount that we'll be able to get will be no different or less.
Okay.
Because we'd be stuck in the same line with the rest of the trucks that are down there.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to go to the committee. Let me start off with the. Let me start off with Council Lady Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, to the commissioner, first I want to commend you and your team for your responsiveness and your hard work. It's been a tough winter, and I really appreciate everything that you've been doing to keep our residents safe on these streets. And the innovative use of garbage trucks is, I know residents really appreciated that, and so did I. So my question is, with the lack of availability of salt, have you explored or considered alternatives to salt for de-icing the roads?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, we are using salt brine as an anti-icer. We're using beet heat, which is a organically, environmentally friendly product that's also used for de-icing and anti-icing. We have all of our tanks are full, and we can produce our own salt brine, but we have to purchase the beet heat. So right now, currently, all of our tanks are relatively, our salt brine tanks, we can fill it at will. And the brine tanks are, I would say, a little about 3/4 of capacity. We've been using it. We're ordering some more as we speak. Those are the two additives so far. And I was mentioning to the director today, we're going to also look at some possibility of purchasing some calcium chloride as well.
So through the chair to the council member, those additives that we use, we have the beet heat. Once you use like the calcium and the magnesium, there's a balance now about the corrosiveness to the streets. So that's why we've never had to go that far, because we've always had salt. And so in order to preserve our streets, we want to make sure that we keep the balance of what kind of chemicals we use. So now we are at the point where we are using more of the beet heat. We're actually going to order more of it because we've been applying it. Brine works a lot better before snow. So the pre-application is a lot more effective than when you're trying to use it afterwards. Because the thought is that brine is 23% salt, right? So, but we are experimenting with all the things that we can think of to try to get the city back and running until we're back at a place where our salt levels are where we can get to the neighborhoods.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Next, I'm going to go to Councilman Shaw.
Thank you. Once again, to the directors and commissioner, thank you for being here and your time. I appreciate. I know you've been hard at work, and I'm new here. I just wanted to understand briefly before we get started how long you've been doing this. So, when I ask my questions, I want to make sure. I know it's a lot longer than 3 weeks, which is how long I've been here. So I'll appreciate your patience.
Mr. Chairman, the councilman, this winter actually started earlier than most winters. If you recall, Thanksgiving Day we had the ice storm, and it's been snowing constantly since Thanksgiving.
Through the chair to the commissioner, I wanted to clarify. I wanted to understand how long you've been in this position. Sorry.
Personally, Councilman, I'm in my 46th year, and I've been over 30 years as Commissioner of Streets.
Wow.
Through the chair to the councilman, I have been with the city since 2000. I've been the director since November of last year. But before that, I was the assistant director since 2022.
Through the chair, thank you. And like I said, I'm going to be learning a lot. And for me, it's like I said, I've been here 3 weeks, so I want to make sure I have the proper lay of the land. For me, I've been pretty frustrated in line with our residents. We've got a lot of concerned calls about the salt issue, and I understand you've been on it. We've been trying to understand, and initially when we got the email updates from Director Laird about our issues, we were relaying this information, and for me, I believe this was something that we should be holding Cargill responsible for. And that's the line of thinking that I've been following on and trying to get more information from Cargill. We've gone through the press back and forth for the last week. So, I do want to get Cargill representatives here at some point as well to understand what are these issues that's going on their end. But before we do that, I want to make sure we have our affairs in order and we understand what we've been doing. So Director Laird, you mentioned at the beginning of our season, we started out with full domes. What's our capacity when we're at full?
Yeah, through the chair to the council, about 25,000 tons.
And you were indicating through the chair at the beginning of our season, we had 25,000 tons, right? Full domes?
Through the chair to the council, that's correct.
Okay. And that makes sense then, based on what the contract understanding was. It sounds like we have the ability to make placements because, once again, even if we don't have the capacity to hold 70,000 tons, even if Cargill delivered all 70,000 at the beginning of the season. So it's as needed basis, and we expect these deliveries. Is that right? Yeah,
through the chair to the council member, that's correct. Also, the Cargill has a 7 calendar day that they are to deliver salt by.
Yeah, I wanted to understand that a little more, if you could explain through the chair, Director Laird. Once we order additional supplies, they have 7 days to deliver that amount after we order? Is that right?
Through the chair to the councilman, that's correct.
I see. And are you aware of what our options are if they do not supply that within the 7 days? I know you said the law department is looking into it, and we'll get the legal details from them, but just wanted to understand.
Yes, through the chair to the council member. This is, with every contractor there's kind of give and take, right? So in the past, we've had delayed deliveries, but nothing like this. So this is new for us. So that's why I just really think it probably makes the most sense for our legal group to work with it. I will say this, Cargill is probably the biggest player with salt. We've dealt with the other players. I think there are 2 other players, and the size of that other players is nowhere near the size of Cargill. So my hope is that we can have some kind of we can work this out with this group because we have to partner with them down the road. So again, yes, we should take action. We need to do something, but how far we go, it really does depend on, do you want to cut off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. And that's kind of where we are with this. We want to make sure that we still have a partner that we can get our salt from. We've dealt with, I think, the others, and it's nowhere. We actually did not have a good relationship with one of the other vendors. So we had to actually cancel that and go back to Cargill. So again, we do believe there needs to be something that needs to happen. That's why a lot of departments looking into it. But I'm really not the person to say how that should look or what that should look like.
Okay. I appreciate that, Director Laird, through the chair. I wanted to understand, how much is our portion of the contract with Cargill worth? I know it's through the Department of Transportation, but I wanted to understand the numbers for our portion of it. Do you know?
Chairman, to the councilman, I don't know the exact percentage, but I know that ODOT is probably their largest customer on that contract, and we're probably number 2.
And to also to the chair, to the council member, to keep in mind, this is for the entire state. We are in a region, Cuyahoga County's in a region, and so if there's a map that shows each region has a certain amount. So as far as a percentage of the entire contract, there's Columbus and there's also Cincinnati as well. So it's kind of difficult to say what is the percentage of the entire contract. We can say that we are a big player for sure, but we just don't know what percentage that is, through the chair.
Yeah, and through the chair, I think what you said was exactly the point, right? I think Department of Transportation, I'm certain, is probably their number one contractual. And while I hear the concerns about, how far do we want to ask for accountability, I think it's important to at least understand what went wrong on their end and see how we can avoid or set up a process to avoid this in the future. And we do have, hopefully some means to kind of do some stuff at the state level as well, because once again, this is a lease that Cargill has from the state of Ohio, is my understanding, and we've been digging deeper into this. And at the end of the day, the salt mine is a public asset. Cargill enjoys a lease for a 99-year lease. I don't know how deep they are into it, but to me, these are all data points that we as the public officials and elected officials should be recording, so that when times come to renew their lease or what other options we have, we can get a full, accurate accounting of how Cargill has been operating this public asset. So, those are the kind of interests of where we want to have. And in the past, I want to put it on the record that Cargill has been, dinged. Actually, it was Governor Devine, when he was the Attorney General, we sued, the state of Ohio sued Cargill and Morton for antitrust activities, for price setting across the state. And for me, it's once again making sure that these big corporations, we know that they're not here to look out for the people. They're here to make money. It's our job to make sure that we look out for the people, and I know you've been doing that. So we want to make sure that we do that on our side of the aisle as well. Is ordering from a different contractor an option, or are we locked into only ordering through Cargill?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, our ability to buy salt is exclusive to the state contract at this time through Cargill.
I see. Thank you, Commissioner Scott. So that means then, we couldn't go to Morton Salt, even if they had some salt there, because we're locked into this?
Well, through the chair to the council member, I think it's probably fair to say that we have to, as long as we have to purchase the amount of tonnage through this contract. Now, I don't think anything bars us. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think anything bars us from going to another source as long as we fulfill what we have to do with this. So we have 70,000 tons. We purchase the 70,000 tons. And then I think if we go to another source, I don't think anything stops us from that. But again, I'm not an attorney. I think that's why our law department's looking deeper into it. But that's my thought about it.
And to my colleagues on the committee, we've talked a little bit about this, and I think would encourage us to think about which stakeholders do we want to bring back to the table here to get more information about where this broke down. And I think that certainly includes the law department, along with representatives from Cargill and ODOT. I wanted to understand the history of our relationship with Cargill. I know, Commissioner Scott, you've been here quite some time. Are you aware of any, I know Director Laird said nothing to this level has happened, but have we had any other issues with Cargill in the time that you've been here?
Mr. Chairman, I've been here long enough to see the salt company change ownership, maybe 2 or 3 times. Over the years, there has been shortages. There has been rationing. But normally when we get to that point, we're notified well in advance that the mine would be rationing for whatever reason that is. I do know that it's in their best interest to create as many above ground stockpiles as necessary during the summer. And once you deplete your above ground capacity, or they complete their above ground storage capacity, and you have to come directly from the mine, that limits how much you can get out per day. because it actually has to come from underneath the lake and then be processed and then loaded into trucks. When you have above ground capacity in enough tonnage, you can satisfy your customer needs a lot better. So I think that's a question for them, and that's a question that I like to ask as well.
Thank you. That makes sense. I wanted to understand, once again, to Director Laird through the chair, how far ahead are we forecasting our need for additional salt? I know we got some information about the time of our orders, and I just wanted to understand kind of what's been going on in the background of how far ahead are we forecasting the need for salt?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, based on our weather forecast and based on our historical knowledge, we've learned to place our orders frequently. No sooner than we place one order and it begins to get fulfilled, we place another one probably within another week. So in this particular case, because we saw it coming, we saw the weather coming, we ordered probably 4 successive weeks in a row, or maybe even 5, to make sure that our orders were at the forefront of the delivery system, to make sure that we could get our capacity in and not have to wait in line on a first order, first come basis. So we kept putting in successive orders to protect ourselves against that. However, that did not change their delivery pattern.
So through the chair to the council member as well, the 70,000 tons it's the beginning of our forecast, if you will. We've had, in the past, we've had lighter winters. We didn't really need 70,000 tons for those lighter winters. But based on what we saw last year, a lot of freeze thaw, we decided to place a large order. In our mind, the 70,000 is a large order. Again, we've received about 51,000 tons to date. We are still waiting, as the commissioner said, for about 18 or 19,000 tons to be delivered. We can order an additional 7,000 over the 70,000, plus or minus. That's kind of how it works. So part of our forecast was we knew that the winter was going to be a little tougher, so we did order more. But the issue is if our plan, if we were to able to execute our plan, we would have enough to be able to do all the things that we've done in the past. It's just that the delivery hasn't met that forecast.
Thank you. And could you just what were the dates and the amount that we ordered for the last 3 orders? I think you have the sheet in front of you. I don't have it in front of me. I was just wondering through the chair.
I can hand this to you if you wanted. If that would be easier for you, just hand it to you. Or?
Sure, if that works. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Through the chair to Director Laird, I see thank you for the sheet. I see on January 23rd, we placed an order for 11,500 tons. And I'm trying to understand that's considerably larger than the ones right before. Is that just based on, did we see at that point?
Through the chair to the council member, we were still waiting for outstanding amounts during that time. So you'll see that the orders are smaller because there were still outstanding amounts. So our thought is order enough to fill up the domes. And as you get lower, then when you get to this point, we're at a critical point. And so that's why you get the 11,000 order.
Thank you. I yield my time. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Shaw. I'm going to go to Councilman Richard Starr.
Thank you, Chair, and Public Works Team Director, as well as Commissioner Scott, just for your being change agents, because sometimes what I've talked about from the snow this last couple of weeks with residents is it's been some years, I think about 5 or 6 years since we had major snowfall in the city, so we started to scale back a little bit because of those different causes, but we always have a contingency plan to have close to be able to get almost 70,000 tons each year if need be. Just for a point of clarification, I know Councilman Shaw did a great job asking different questions to understand. From the standpoint of the salt shortage, it was mainly between a contract with a third party who gets the salt. Where do they actually, through the chair, recover salt from this company that we work with through the chair?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, this is again bid cooperatively with the state of Ohio.
Okay.
And surrounding communities. We bid as a group. The price is then published in somewhere around July. Per ton price is published, and then we place our orders. We're allowed to place orders at that point. Our goal is to fill up at the beginning of the season, as we did, and then to order as needed beyond that. Again, I don't want to keep using the word salt shortage.
Okay.
I don't know that there is a shortage in the mine. There's no shortage in the mine.
All right.
Okay.
You know I was coming next.
But there is a issue with delivery.
Okay.
There is an issue with mining, processing, loading, and delivery. And that's where I think everybody has a concern, not just Cleveland,
Okay.
but Cleveland and all the other customers on that state contract. So again, we've been contacted by other municipalities for assistance. We've also reached out ourselves for assistance. ODOT was gracious enough to give us about 700 tons. But even they were short. They were beyond their 50% middle of the winter capacity. So everybody right now is, again, being very conservative with their salt usage and being very smart about how they use their salt. Again, sensible, smart salting is very important. And when you have to pick and choose which poison is going to kill you, you got to take the one that you can last the longest. And I would suggest that taking care of our main streets, our high-speed areas are most important. Our residentials are equally important, but I think we can keep them safely plowed, and that's what we've been doing.
Okay, thank you. And through the chair, I definitely will ask, within this coalition that we have that consists of other different cities in Cuyahoga County, where we contract together to all be able to purchase salt. Given the circumstances that we just experienced, are we looking to think or be more proactive in thinking about a secondary strategy? So in the near future, if our coalition is not getting salt, is there other ways for us to get salt ourselves? Because like I heard through the chair to the commissioner, one of the main issues was just actually getting the salt here, whether it's transportation, whether it's delays, whether it's other orders may be in front of us, so many different things that can factor. Is there a way that we can subcontract in an emergency effort if we notice that, hey, we may have this much salt in our warehouse, but or in our inventory, but we may expect we need to double it up, but we haven't been able to get it due to whatever foreseen circumstances. So through the chair, is that something we looking to explore, different options in case something like this happens in the near future?
Mr. Chairman, to the council, let me be real clear about one thing. There's only 3 bidders in this region. That would be Cargill, Compass Salt, which is technically in Canada, and they ship their salt across the lake during the summer months. Obviously, they couldn't do it right now if we wanted to.
Yep.
And then there's Morton Salt, which is in Paynesville. Morton's is much smaller, a much smaller operation, even though they're nationally known. It's a much smaller mine here, and we've had some difficulties in the past with Morton to the point where we had to switch and go back to Cargill mid-season. So I would just be cautionary in that regard. Secondly, the thing that I think we can do, there always is something you can do, and I think there's something we should do is look at increasing our capacity, our storage capacity here in Cleveland with covered salt. And that would be to, right now we don't have the domes to do that. We should maybe look at purchasing or building some more domes, or maybe picking the extra expenditure of finding a location to put salt and cover it. But I think increasing our above ground capacity based on what we've learned this year would probably be in our best interest.
Thank you, and that is something that I definitely wanted to see, just because, like you said, I roughly say between the last 5 or 6 years, we haven't had these major snowstorms, ice storms. It's been mild winters, but today it came back to this year it came back to the original Cleveland. I guess global warming is changing again.
Yeah.
But one of the things that is very important for me when we dealing with this salt, I mean not a salt shortage, but just dealing with snow, is as I was going out in the neighborhood, looking at different areas, and then obviously dealing with potential school closing and then potential school openings, one of the things I really was thinking of as I drove around was noticing sidewalk. So when we're dealing with, from a public works standpoint, what is who are actually responsible for different sidewalks? Prime example, it was days that some of us was like, well, CMSD closed, then they open one day, and then we saying how kids is walking, and they're not walking on the sidewalk because the sidewalk isn't plowed, so they actually is walking in the street. So one of the things that I always notice in the neighborhood is less individuals are shoveling the sidewalk, or who will be actually responsible for the sidewalk clearing through the chair?
Through the chair to the council member, the property owner is responsible for sidewalks. Yeah. So whoever owns that property, that's the one who is responsible for clearing the sidewalks.
So therefore, if we're in a neighborhood where it's all houses, the whole street get done by their sidewalk by the property owner.
Through the chair to the council member, that's correct.
So if a property owner is a senior who can't shovel their sidewalk, how do we get that sidewalk shoveled? Or
through the chair to the council member, I don't want to speak for Director McNamara. I know she has a program where she does work with seniors. the Snow Heroes.
Yes.
There's also another program she works with as well. So the chore program. So they don't do sidewalks. Yeah. So that's why I would say I'm hesitant to say exactly. Yep. I will tell you this: I'm one of the snow heroes, so I go out and I do shovel some of the senior sidewalks. So I know the program is effective. But again, that to get more detail on how far that goes, that would be a question for Director McNamara.
Definitely, I was going to definitely reach out to her because I know they do from the entryway to be able to have access to and from your house, as well as some additional support of seniors. But then, if we take it back a little further, if I'm just a millennial or I'm a Gen X who's a homeowner and I have not shoveled my sidewalk, do we have anything in place from the city that can, hold them accountable to make sure they are doing those different things? Because what I notice is kids are walking in the street because they can't walk on the sidewalk, and therefore it becomes a safety hazard for a driver, the pedestrians as well, because they can't walk in all that snow. So do we have anything from a legal standpoint to make sure property owners are doing the best to clear the sidewalk when it comes through snow through the chair?
Yeah, through the chair to the council member, I do believe that there's ordinance on the books. I'm just not 100% sure where and what it says. But
we can definitely work with staff to look that up so we can revisit that, Chairman, because I would like to see, because what happens is, I represent different parts of the city. I know we have a different program with the work that Downtown Cleveland Lions do. They do a lot of the shovel removals in their district, and that they cover as an organization. But then when I go into different parts of the city and different neighborhoods, they're not shoveling. It becomes, it just be like night and day, and trying to figure out how we can get some collaborations or some coordinations and some accountability to make sure sidewalks getting covered. And what I mean by that is I reached out to CMHA. I called Mr. Patterson when I rode through and I seen some of his sidewalks. I said, Mr. Patterson, I remember when I was a kid, these sidewalks were shoveled. Now we're just doing the outskirts, and they got to tumble through the different salt and the snow in order to try to get to the area that you shovel. I said that's working backwards. So I'm just trying to get clarification on that. That was something that was on my mind, and I definitely wanted to ask. And then I know staff is going to work with you all to be able to get that information to me as well as to the council. And then one of the last things that I definitely would like to talk about is just communication. And I believe you, Director Laird, as well as Frank Williams was here. Y'all do a great job sending emails, keeping us informed. If we need anything, we always can call you, as well as Commissioner Scott, to get more clarification, whether it's 7 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night as well, which is very good on your leadership. But one of the things that I believe we have not figured out is the communication for park bans, but also communication for residents just to understand, even if their street is not one that has a sign that said that they can't park on the street due to the weather. Because what happened is, one of them residence area where I have a lot of homeowners at, when you come around the roundabout, you got cars parking right in the front, and then next you know, they get buried in, and then next you know, everyone calling, why they bury me in, why we bury me in? But we know we seen a park ban, but that area is not technically an area that describes, so therefore, when the plow trucks come down the street, you only create one lane access because all these cars are on the street. So is there ways that we can explore a communication system to make sure those type of areas are informed? They're like, hey, the snowstorm is coming, pull in your driveway because you do have a driveway. Or one of the things I notice is some of their driveways is behind their house on a back alley street, and so they just park in the front. So therefore, you can't go around the roundabout. And then, you know, Miss Caldwell, who homeowner association president, mentioned it to me, and I went through and I said I could see what she's talking about. Is there a way that we can create some type of system to communicate that to residents in those type of areas of the need to not park on the street because of the snow, through the chair?
So through the chair to the council member, yeah, and I agree that is something that came up a lot. I know with the parking ban, there are specific streets that, you know, to your point, there's some streets that just aren't on the ban, but we've got to plow. So I am interested in working with this side of the table with council to figure out, because I think it may have to be some grassroots kind of communication happening, as well as some communication from our side. I do think it has to be a kind of a two-way street, but I am open to figuring out what that could be. And it may, I don't know if it's word specific or if it could be more general, but on my side of the table, I am open to figuring that out. And I know our comms group, the Mayor's Comm group, will also be helpful with that as well.
Thank you, and I believe that would be really good. And then just my last point that I think we should definitely talk about, through the chair to Commissioner Scott, can you explain or give a number of how many streets are actually in the city of Cleveland? Because a lot of folks don't understand how many streets we have to cover. How many streets do we have in the city of Cleveland, through the chair?
The city of Cleveland, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, has about 10,060 streets. Roughly 3,000 to 4,000 are main and secondary mains. The other 6,000 to 7,000 streets are residential. And we service them every time it snows. And to kind of put that in perspective, our crews over the last storm used over 2,000 or 2,100 man hours of work, and they plowed over 26,000 miles. And that's not counting the third time that we went through the residentials. So they've been working around the clock, and I'm very proud of the work that they've done. And I look forward to finishing the winter very strongly.
Yes, and so I think that was really great point that I definitely wanted to highlight, because a lot of people do not understand or do not know that we have over 10,000 streets in the city of Cleveland. And then we have so many man hours where we have staff working around the clock. We also use other departments' trucks to be able to get snow plow, where we're putting that on top of their trucks just to be able to try to make it maintainable. But one of the things we also have to do is, as residents, make sure if we can get our cars off the street, we get them into our driveway. And then some houses we don't have that luxury. But thinking about how we can be able to target that area where we can let residents know, like, around this time period, the trucks is going to be coming, if you could move your car so they can hit the street. So there's different things I would like to explore offline to be able to figure out how do we correct this system, and also how we can explore different other options. And I would say thank you, Public Works, for all the work that you do. Thank you to your staff. Without them, we would not have been able to get through the snowstorm. So I yield, Chair.
All right, thank you, Councilman Starr. I want to remind the members that we do have a meeting pending right now, so can we wrap it up? Councilman Chris Harsh.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. My colleagues have asked all the essential questions. I appreciate their inquisitiveness. Since we know that 25,000 is the city's surface storage capacity, could, through the chair to the commissioner or director, get us an estimated cost on building more of those storage containers? I don't know if they're cheap or if they're expensive, but could you let us know at some point, maybe let Brooke and the chairman know, so we can at least be able to think about that?
Can I also add, though, through the chair, it may also be a place, issue of like actually having the actual space, right?
Correct.
It's one thing to say we can build, but we may not have the space to actually. So it may be the cost may include a piece of land where we can put this on.
Understood. It was something I think we'd all like to be able to explore, so that we can
Great.
maybe, instead of staffing up to 25,000 at the beginning of the year, we staff up to 50,000, and then we have 4 events,
Sure.
or 8 events in storage. Yes. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harsh. Councilman Deborah Gray.
Add on to Councilman Harsh. How many storage or dorms are in place in the city of Cleveland, for the uses of salt?
Mr. Chairman, to the council lady, we have 7 storage facilities, and they're strategically placed throughout the city at all of our 6 of our district service centers, and then we have 1 at the Dobbins Service Center over off of 93rd.
And where is, second question, Chair, to the Commissioner, where is Cargridge? Is that the place? How you pronounce it? Cargill. Where is that located? Chair, to the Commissioner.
Cargill Salt is located down in the flats on Whiskey Island.
Oh, Whiskey Island. Okay. And one more miscellaneous. I'm gonna tell you something. You've done an excellent job.
Thank you.
However, I've always, I have emailed you and the director. As Star stated, some of the seniors don't have the assistance, and I know that we have, contacted McNamara about the Snow Heroes. However, when the snow trucks, the plow come down the streets, the snow is pushed to the apron.
Yep. So if I
That is the biggest issue, and
So
I
when you
already
get those-
communicated with you guys.
through the chair to the councilwoman, when you get those, please send that to myself and to the commissioner. We can figure something out for when we have seniors or we have folks who have disabilities. We can try to figure something out for the driveways. This is not something that we can say for
Exactly.
the entire city, but this in a pinch we try to figure that out for.
Mayor has stepped in and
Yep.
she figured it out, just
Yep.
to say, you guys have done an
Yeah,
excellent job.
but I will say that to everyone at the table. If you have a disabled individual or seniors that are stuck in the driveway, contact us, let us know. We'll try to figure something out.
All right, thank you, that's it.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Gray. All right, is there any other questions for the director and commissioner? Seeing no further questions, I hereby adjourn this MSP committee to the next call of the chair.
Thank you.